Florida. It is because for the past 40 years, Life Extension has its Research and Development Center in Florida. So we are completely assured that we can offer our customers the quality, the potency, and the purity that they deserve. Para po sa inyong proteksyon, siguraduhin niyo lang po na tunay at genuine na Life Extension products ang inyong bibili.
Life Extension Vitamin D3, the #1 trusted brand of vitamin D3 by the medical doctors in the Philippines. Life Extension Vitamin D3, the science of a healthier life.
Aragay! Kasakit kisang tiyan ko. Hindi ako kapamuhin.
Mauga ka luluoy sa imo. Kag delikado na. Mabakal ko sa butika sang Super Fiber. Super Fiber. Ang pinakabago nga produkto sa Life Extension Philippines. May powerful detoxification effects ang plant fibers, prebiotics ag alkaline food. Likawan ang colon cancer paagi sa pag-inom sang Super Fiber 1 to 2 times a day, 15 minutes before breakfast or before sleep daily. Para mas epektibo, mag-inom sang Life Extension Vitamin D3 kada tapos ka. Fast-acting colon cleansing product approved by the FDA Philippines. Para sa masulhay ng pagpamuhin, Super Fiber. Life Extension Philippines Group of Medical Clinics and Pharmacies.
Hello, I am Dr. Elsie Herrera, internist nephrologist. I am one of the specialists that give free medical consult in Life Extension Foundation Iloilo. Pag may nabatsyag, konsulta. Ang top 2 gidya diabetes kag high blood. Hindi lang na siya masiling pabayan-bayan ka lang, no? Dapat makonsulta, hindi lang maghampol-hampol, hindi lang mag-herbal-herbal. Aton nga ginahatag sa inyo yung mensahe amo ang early medical consult, early treatment so that we can prevent what we call the complication of these different critical conditions and then we can prevent death. Early diagnosis, early treatment, and early medical consult. That is being given by Life Extension Iloilo. You can contact any of the branches and there are doctors, they are licensed medical practitioners that can deliver you care.
Life Extension Philippines Group of Medical Clinics and Pharmacies for longer life. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix.
I would recommend my favorite coffee, Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. So may kapi ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa, may reishi mushroom extract, kag may mangosteen fruit extract. Kung imo'y combine ini nga tatlo, may ara ini siya synergistic na benepisyo para sa aton nga ikaayong lawas. This is Dr. Marpa, kag sa tanan, mayong adlaw.
Vita D Plus Coffee Mix.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life News.
Alas 6:40 na sa gabi sa aton sining pagpangalagad sa Gapon Dres programa. Ay, adanay ka, special ka bare sigili subong, no? Nalipat ko abyan Arbidil, adanay ko tabatsagan ko nagsugod na sa aton sining programa wala pagli, no? Sige. Nag-break makabenan ang International Criminal Court sa ginaparigayon subong nga confirmation of charges hearing sa kaso against former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, no? Sa aton sini nga mga kulturan makabenan nga konserin ginabantayan ini sa mga Pinoy nga konserin kadamo sa masiling naton nagtaas kilay sa pagpamuno before ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. At the same time, may araman sang nagdayaw sa iya. No? Amo ning rason kung nga ang ginabantayan inisubong sang tawag sini isang aton nga mga kulturan ang pag isa-isa sa tanan-tanan sini nga kaso. Ano bala mga kaso, no? Gamay lang gid nga recap sa aton si matag palamati makabenan sa pagbasa kaina. Sa pagsugod si makabiyanan, ang ginpang isa-isa diri ang una nga violation o kunang kaso against a former president, murder as a crime against humanity in Davao City during the mayoral period, 19 victims between 2013 and June 2016. Ang ikaduha diri, murder as a crime against humanity of a high value targets in locations across the Philippines during the presidential period. 14 victims Kawalin ini sang Hulyo 2016, no? Kag Hulyo 2017. Abi army dila lagi pasa ako sa sa group chat ang gamiton mo liog lang, no? Parang sige. Okay. Live bago lang nag-live sa Facebook.
Life News. Serbisyong makataw. Responsable at totoo. Life News.
Super may kinagakalipataw. No man. Sige, sambay lang. Sambay lang sa atong tagpalamati Okay. Sa atong sa mga makabenan. Okay? Sige. Ang ikatatlo, amo ang murder and attempted murder as crimes against humanity in barangay clearance operations in location across the Philippines during the presidential period, no? Gawin may mga numero diri sa mga nagkalap biktima, no, sa kampanya against illegal drugs sang administrasyon ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Doon nagbalik na abyan Arvidale. Okay. Alain na siya. Okay, inagli na, no? Sige. Ging pakilala man diri ang mga Filipino lawyers sa kampo ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Ini sila mo sanday Salvador Mijaldia, anay Executive Secretary, no? Attorney Salvador Panelo, former Presidential Chief Legal Counsel, Silvestre Bello III, former Labor Secretary, Attorney Martin Delgra, former Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chief, Cesar Dulay, anay Bureau of Internal Revenue Commissioner. Sumuman si Alfredo Lim, former president sang Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, o sang PAGCOR, no? Kagaluwa sini si okay. Ang ibang pagidila sini sige. Ara na? Okay. Guide abyan Armidale. Kibot mo ko sino mo no iba? Okay. Audio please.
Life News.
Alas 6:44 na sa gabi, ari na karon pa ng balikan nato, no? Ang pag-resume sang hearing ang ni sa confirmation of charges against former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Okay, Reina?
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning to all. I would like to welcome all those inside and outside
Pero ngayon, audio ka,
this
Bibliog?
courtroom. Madam Courtroom Officer, could you please call the case?
Good morning, Madam President, Your Honors. Situation in the Republic of the Philippines in the case of the prosecutor versus Rodrigo Roa Duterte, case reference ICC 0121-0125, and for the record, we are in open session.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. I am now going to ask the parties and participants to introduce themselves. Starting by Mr. Deputy Prosecutor. Could I please ask you to introduce yourself and to confirm to me whether the list of your team members that I received before the hearing is correct? Thank you, Madam President. Your Honours. The Office of the Prosecutor is represented today by myself. I'm Niai, Deputy Prosecutor. By my side, I have James Mirity, Case Manager. I have Mr. Julian Nichols, Senior Trial Lawyer. And behind us, we have Mr. Edward Jeremy, Trial Lawyer, Madam Robin Croft, Trial Lawyer, Madam Maria Berdenikova, Trial Lawyer, and lastly, Hannah Allen, Associate Trial Lawyer. These are the individuals comprising our team today, and I thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Prosecutor. Now, before moving on to the defense, I note that Mr. Duterte is not present in the courtroom today. Indeed, on the 20th of February 2026, the Chamber granted Mr. Duterte's request to waive his rights to be present at the confirmation of charges hearing. Pursuant to Article 61(2)(a) of the Rome Statute and Rule 124 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence. In this decision, number 387, the Chamber concluded that the conditions contained in the provisions were fulfilled, namely that Mr. Duterte has the right and knows he has the right to be present at the confirmation of charges hearing and knows the consequences of waiving this right. However, Mr. Duterte's counsel is present today to represent him. Counsel, could you please introduce yourself and confirm to me that the list of your team members that I received before the
Kilala
hearing
mga
is indeed
abogado
correct?
ni Duterte?
Good morning, Madam President. Good morning, Your Honours. Indeed, the list before you is correct. May I introduce my team? To my left, I have Dr. Dov Jacobs. To my right, I have Ms. Havnit Sethi. Sitting next to her is Maître Alexandre Dezev-Dabi. Behind him, Attorney David Rancati. Sitting next to him, Maître Sandrine de Sena. And our two further lawyers, we have Nicolas Rousseau and also Kaylin Chen. And if Your Honour will permit me, there are also Filipino attorneys who are attending and supporting us today, and I'll briefly mention their names. Maître Salvador Mediadea, who Your Honours are familiar with from the initial appearance. Attorney Martin Delgra, Attorney Silvestre Bello, Attorney Alfredo Lim, Attorney César Doulay, and of course, Attorney Salvador Panello. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, maître. J'ai envie de...
Thank you very much, counsel. I would like to now call upon the legal representatives of victims to present them, to introduce themselves and confirm to me that the list of your team members I received before is correct.
Proceedings are represented today by Mr. Joel Butuyan, Mr. Gilbert Andres, myself, Paulina Masida, and I confirm the list of our jurists who assist us today as provided to the court officer. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, maître.
Thank you very much, Maître Masida. Thank you. On my right, I have Judge Rain Adelaide, and I have Judge Adelaide Sophie Alapina Gansu, and to my right I have Maria del Socorro Flores Liera. And I am Julia Antonuela Motok, and I am the presiding judge in Pretrial Chamber 1 of the court. This hearing concerns the confirmation of charges by the prosecution against Mr. Duterte. At this stage of pretrial proceedings, the OTP alleges that Mr. Duterte is responsible for the crimes that the court officer shall read out shortly. The Chamber shall not take any decision with regard to the guilt or innocence of Mr. Duterte during this hearing. Indeed, the role of the Chamber is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to establish substantial grounds to believe that Mr. Duterte committed the crimes with which he is charged. If all or part of the charges are confirmed, the Chamber will refer the case to trial, where the trial chamber will decide upon the innocence or guilt of Mr. Duterte. The general principles to be applied at the hearing are as follows. The suspect, in accordance with Article 66 of the Rome Statute, the suspect is considered to be innocent until his guilt has been proven by the court. The burden of proof is upon the OTP, which must produce sufficient evidence to prove the charges against Mr. Duterte at the required standard of proof, at Article 61, paragraph 7 of the Rome Statute. Finally, the defense enjoys, or the suspect enjoys, all the rights listed at Article 61, paragraphs 6 and 67 of the Rome Statute. The hearing shall take place according to the schedule contained in the order dated the 26th of January 2026, document number 359. The parties and participants must respect the allocated speaking times indicated in this order. I would like to remind the parties and participants that oral remarks must be concise and that repetition of previously presented arguments should be avoided. In addition,
Life News
of discussions, please make sure that your microphone is on every time you address the court. And please speak slowly and mark pauses between each sentence. Generally speaking, the hearing will be held in open session, and parties and participants will refrain from mentioning the names of victims and witnesses. They will only refer to them by their pseudonym or their code. In order to avoid the disclosure of any confidential information, notably with regard to witnesses and victims, the parties and participants will clearly indicate whether their submissions can be presented in public or whether they deem it necessary to move into private session, notably when referring to items of evidence. The parties and participants will clearly indicate when it is no longer necessary to remain in private session. With these rules in place, we can now move to the reading of the charges in its shortened form, indicating the charges against Mr. Duterte. The full version is available publicly on the internet site of the court. The defense has not raised any objections in this regard. I would like to remind the public that the charges that shall be read out in a few seconds comprise allegations raised by the Office of the Prosecutor that the Chamber shall decide, that shall analyze in order to decide whether the evidence presented by the Office of the Prosecutor is sufficient in order for these charges to be confirmed. Madam Courtroom Officer, would you please read the charges?
The prosecution charges Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of murder and attempted murder as a crimes against humanity committed between 2013 and around June 2016 and between around July 2016 and September 2018 in the Republic of the Philippines as follows. Count 1. murder of 19 victims alleged to be criminals, including 3 children, who were killed in or around Davao City in the Philippines between 2013 and around 2016 by members of the Davao Death Squad, while Mr. Duterte was the mayor of the Davao City pursuant to Article 71A of the Rome Statute. Count 2. Murder of 14 victims labeled as high-value targets for their alleged criminality, who were killed in locations across the Philippines between around July 2016 and July 2017 by a network of perpetrators comprising state actors and others, referred to as the National Network, while Mr. Duterte was the President of the Philippines pursuant to Article 71A of the Rome Statute. And count 3. Murder and attempted murder of 45 victims, comprising 43 murders and 2 attempted murders of persons alleged to be criminals, including 3 children who were targeted in barangay clearance operations in locations across the Philippines between around July 2016 and September 2018 by members of the National Network, while Mr. Duterte was the President of the Philippines pursuant to Articles 71A and 25(3)(f in respect of the attempted murder of the Rome Statute. The prosecution alleges that Mr. Duterte is individually criminally responsible for all 3 of the above counts as follows. First, as an indirect co-perpetrator pursuant to Article 25(3)(a of the Rome Statute. At least between 1st November 2011 and 16 March 2019, Mr. Duterte and his co-perpetrators shared a common plan to neutralize alleged criminals in the Philippines, including individuals perceived or alleged to be associated with drug use, sale, or production, through violent crimes including murder. Mr. Duterte and his co-perpetrators implemented this common plan through the hierarchically organized structures of the Davao City Police and Davao Death Squad, and then the National Network. Within the framework of the common plan, Mr. Duterte made essential contributions to the crimes in counts 1 to 3 by A. Designing and disseminating the police to neutralize alleged criminals, both in his role as a mayor of the Davao City and also during his presidential campaign and as a president, including by endorsing the anti-illegal drugs campaign Double Barrel. B. Establishing and overseeing the DDS. C. Instructing and authorizing violent acts, including murder, to be committed against alleged criminals, including alleged drug dealers and users. D. Providing personnel and other necessary logistic resources such as weapons, including those to be used in the execution of the crimes. E. Appointing key personnel to positions which were crucial to the execution of the crimes. F. Offering financial incentives and promotions to police officers and hitmen to kill alleged criminals. G. Creating and maintaining a system in which perpetrators knew they would be protected, including through promises of immunity and shielding perpetrators from investigation and prosecutions. H. Making public statements authorizing, condoning, and encouraging killings of alleged criminals, both as a mayor of the Davao City and as a president of the Philippines. I. Authorizing state actors to take part in the anti-drugs campaign and temporarily revoking such authorization, including to placate public outcry. J. Publicly naming individuals and holding up charts from lists of alleged criminals, including so-called high-value targets some of whom were subsequently killed. Second, in the alternative, Mr. Duterte is charged with ordering and/or inducing the charged crimes pursuant to Article 25(3)(b) of the Rome Statute, and/or aiding and abetting these crimes pursuant to Article 25(3)(c) of the Rome Statute.
Life News.
Merci, Madame la greffière.
Thank you, Madam Courtroom Officer. With regard to objections and observations under Rule 122, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence, the Chamber notes that the defence submitted a number of written observations, and the last of which was on the 16th of February 2026, to which the OTP and the legal representatives of victims responded, respectively, on the 17th and the 18th of February 2026. On the 20th of February 2026, the Chamber dismissed, in its public decision, the defence's objections. In specifying that the defense and the Office of the Prosecutor are not permitted to reiterate the same arguments already presented in the findings mentioned, that they filed to date in this case, I will now ask if the parties wish to make any oral submissions on this point before moving to the opening statements. Mr. Deputy Prosecutor? Mr. Nyang, we do not have any submissions to make in this regard. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Prosecutor. Counsel?
Merci beaucoup, Maître Kaufmann.
Life News.
Donc, on peut maintenant passer à la phase.
So we can now move on to stage 2, namely the opening statements, and I hand over to the Office of the Prosecutor. Mr. Deputy Prosecutor, please.
Madam President, honorable member of the bench, all those following these proceedings inside the courtroom and outside, and especially those in the Philippines. Today marks an important day for international justice for the people of the Philippines, for the victims, and for this court. The commencement of the confirmation hearing against Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte is a reminder of the court's unwavering commitment to its mission to investigate and prosecute individuals for the most serious crimes of concern to the international community and to bring justice to the thousands of victims of the mass crimes and atrocities perpetrated in the Philippines. It is also a reminder that those in power are not above the law. Your Honors, over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, I will provide an overview of the evidence in this case that demonstrates that Mr. Duterte is responsible for the charged crimes. And my team will then develop aspects of this evidence in more details. This case before you today, it is before you today because there are substantial ground to believe that Mr. Duterte is criminally responsible for those three counts of murder just spelled out and attempted murder as crimes against humanity. These charged crimes were committed during the time within the court jurisdiction, which is between the 1st of November 2011 and the 16th of March 2019. At first, they were committed in and around Davao City, where Mr. Duterte was the mayor, and then expanded across the rest of the Philippines when he became president. Mr. Duterte is charged with 49 incidents of murder and attempted murder of 78 victims, including children. These murders and attempted murders were part of a widespread and systematic attack that overall resulted in the killings of thousands of civilians across the country during the relevant time frame. Thus, the charged incidents are merely a fraction of the overall criminality that resulted from Mr. Duterte's so-called war on drugs. What is Mr. Duterte's core contribution? Your Honors, Mr. Duterte played a pivotal role in the commission of the charged crimes. His contribution was essential, as he was at the very heart of the common plan to use his words, to neutralize alleged criminals in the Philippines, including through murders. The victim included individuals associated with or perceived to be associated with drugs. One of the first things Mr. Duterte did when he became the mayor of Davao back in 1988 was to create the infamous Davao Death Squad, otherwise known as DDS. As you will have seen from the prosecution pre-confirmation brief, Mr. Duterte personally instructed Death Squad members that their mission was to kill criminals and suspected criminals, including drug users and dealers, also referred to as drug pushers. The death squads carried out this mission well into the charge period through 2011 to 2016, perpetrating the crimes charged in count 1. Your Honors, Mr. Duterte's criminal plan and his intent were no secret. He not only shared them with his co-perpetrators and members of the death squad, but also made them abundantly clear to the general public in the numerous public statements that he made time and again. During his presidential campaign, Mr. Duterte explicitly vowed to implement the common plan to neutralize alleged criminal nationwide if elected. This was his program to be elected. He publicly announced his intention to eradicate corruption, criminality, and drugs in 3 to 6 months. And this is what he said. I quote, "If I become the president, I will order the military and the police to hunt down the drug lords, the big ones, and kill them." That's what he said. And this can be found at tab 12 of the prosecution list of material. Similarly, when speaking about druggies, in a televised interview in 2015, this is again what he said. If I become president, you will all get wiped out. I will order your execution within 24 hours. That's what he said. That I quote directly from his word. And this quote can be found at tab 19.2 of the prosecution list of materials, ERN PHL OTP 401684, page 003, and lines, these are the lines 82 and 83. And elected he was. And becoming president on 13th of June 2016, this provided him with the opportunity to follow through with his promise and to expand extrajudicial killings of alleged criminals beyond Davao and across the rest of the Philippines. He did this through the implementation of the National Anti-Illegal Drug Campaign, better known as Duterte's War on Drug, and its project, Double Barrel. These were carried out by the national network consisting of law enforcement personnel working together with non-police assets and hitmen. Mr. Duterte authorized murder and personally selected some of the targets. During the mayoral period, when he was mayor, his clearance was required for the DDS to carry out the killings. Essentially, members of the DDS needed Mr. Duterte's green light to murder. And during the presidential period, Mr. Duterte has continued to personally identify some of the targets, including by publicly naming those he claimed were involved in illegal drug trade or in other forms of criminality. He also identified targets by holding up a list containing their name. And if you are on the list, you will be killed. And this was a word of one prosecution witness. And this evidence can be found at tab 54 of the prosecution list of materials, ERN PHL OTP 00015 page 0009, and the relevant lines are 260 to 261. Mr. Duterte provided moral and financial support to the direct perpetrators as well. In a 12 December 2016 speech, Mr. Duterte admitted that he used to ride around Davao on a motorcycle looking for trouble, so he could kill. And he said, and this again his own word I'm quoting here, in Davao, I used to do it personally, just to show the guy that if I can do it, why can't you? And these are his own words. And this quote can be found at tab 16.1 of the prosecution list of material, ERN PHL OTP -000015547 at 0002 lines 7 and 8. And the evidence show that Mr. Duterte's Davao City Mayor office provided some member of the DDS with a regular salary. Financial rewards were also given to direct perpetrators in the form of cash per head of killing. And at a press conference in 2013, Mr. Duterte stated that shoot to kill orders and reward are, and I quote him, are legitimate tools of government to fight lawlessness. This is his own word. And if he surrendered to me or his carcass dead, then I double the price. And again, yeah, and that was what he boasted. This quote can be found at tab 17.2 of the prosecution list of materials, PSL-OTP-000094932 at 0002, and the relevant lines are lines 7 to 11. Deaths of drug personalities killed in anti-drug operation were endorsed by Mr. Duterte's administration and listed as official accomplishment in public reporting. Your Honors, as you will have seen from our confirmation brief, Mr. Duterte also provided the direct perpetrators with weapons, ammunition, and logistical support to facilitate the commission of the charged crime. And he also had control, wide control over those crimes. And let me now turn specifically to that control. As mayor of Davao and later as president of the Philippines, Mr. Duterte wielded ultimate influence and authority over the physical perpetrators of the crimes. As mayor, Mr. Duterte was chief executive of the Davao city government, with responsibility for exercising general supervision and control over all its activities. He had formal operational supervision and control over National Police Unit in Davao. As creator and head of the DDS, he also had de facto control over the death squad's members. When Mr. Duterte became president on the 30th of June 2016, he sat at the very apex of the political power structure in the Philippines. He became the head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief of all armed forces of the Philippines. He also became the leader of the country's police forces. This level of authority allowed him to wield de jure and de facto control over those implementing the common plan nationwide. Mr. Duterte's control over the crime is also apparent from his ability to interrupt their commission when he so chooses. And as outlined in our reconfirmation brief, he successfully suspended police anti-illegal drug operation on 2 occasions following public outcries in response to particularly notorious killings. On both occasions, the number of reported killings dropped significantly during the suspension, showcasing his control. So when he asks people to act, they act. When he asks them to refrain, they do so. they obey. So Mr. Duterte was well aware of the authority he had over the perpetrators. In a speech given to the National Bureau of Investigation in November 2016, he expressly acknowledged his position of power. And this is what he said. To the military, I am commander-in-chief. On the civilian side, I am the chief executive of the government. And when talking about the police, this is what he's saying. They are my subordinate, and I am ultimately responsible for their deeds. And these are quotations, and they can be found at tab 131.2 of our prosecution list of materials at ERN PHL-OTP-00095679, page 0004, and the relevant lines are from 131 to 134. And the direct perpetrators complied with Duterte's order and respected his authority. Mr. Duterte was respected by the physical perpetrators. He was feared, and his order and instruction were obeyed. One insider witness explicitly says that the police killed, and I quote, because of the directive of the president. This is what the witness said, an insider. And this quote can be found at tab 120 of the prosecution list of material, ARN PHL OTP -000886631-R01 and page 66, and the relevant line are from 2304 to 2306. And this statement is corroborated by other statements we have also provided. And some direct perpetrator complied because of their blind loyalty to Mr. Duterte. Some did it out of fear, and others were encouraged to comply by promises of money and rewards. For some, killings reached the level of a perverse form of competition with effort to attain killing quotas, which in turn would lead to promotions and rewards. Others felt there was no other choice but to comply, with one insider explaining that it was simply not possible to not obey Mr. Duterte's command. And this is also from an insider witness. And this evidence can be found at tab 51 of the prosecution list of materials, ERN PHL-OTP-0015403 at page 0008 to 0009, and the relevant line here is from 240 to 245. Direct perpetrators were further emboldened to commit crime by Mr. Duterte's repeated promises of immunity. In various public statements, Mr. Duterte vowed to protect the police involved in killing. And this is what he said again. For as long as there is a power to pardon in the Constitution, that's my weapon against crime. If you massacre 100 and there are 100 of you, then you will all be pardoned. Restored to full political and civil rights, plus a promotion to boot. It's like that, especially the high profile. And this quote can be found at tab 130.2 of the prosecution list of materials at ERN PSL-OTP and 50336 at page 0010. Such statements reassure the physical perpetrators. One insider described that he felt confident to continue killing people because he knew that he wouldn't be arrested for that. And this evidence can be found at tab 38 of the prosecution list of material, ERN PSL-OTP-0001-2779 at page 0005, and relevant lines are from 130 to 131. Your Honors, let me now say a few words about just the contextual elements. The 78 murders and attempted murders that Mr. Duterte is charged with in this case were not random. These were not random crimes, nor was they spontaneous or happened in isolation. Rather, the evidence demonstrates that they were part of a widespread and systematic attack directed against the civilians population of the Philippines. The murders and attempted murders were carried out across the Philippines and over a substantial period of time. Overall, Duterte's so-called war on drugs resulted in the killings of thousands of civilians from the 1st of November 2011 to the 16th of March 2019. And many of these victims were...
Excuse me, Counsel, you have 5 minutes left.
Okay. Yes, were children. The victim of extrajudicial killing charge in this case were brutally murdered, some after having been abducted and mistreated. Unlike Mr. Duterte, who is represented by his counsel here today, they were deprived of any form of due process. The loss of every single one of these victims had the most profound impact on their families, their friends, and ultimately their communities. Their suffering was met not merely with Mr. Duterte.
Oras alas 7:31.
Kamusta mga abyan? Ini nga programa ang ginadulong sang Confluence Health and Wellness Products, ang exclusive distributor sang Life Extension Vitamin D3 diri sa Pilipinas. Kag subong atong ginapakilala, Pommy Capsule. Isa ka super antioxidant nga kapsula himo gikan sa pomegranate fruit, green tea, curcumin kag broccoli. Ang Pommy himo sa mga scientists, medical doctors kag nutritionists sa Europa. Para sa inyong mga palamangkutanon, mag-text lang sa 0917-318-1720. Subong, aton pamatian si Sir Jonathan Granada.
Masayt na naman kita sa isa ka pagtuon nga gin-publish ini siya sa Journal of Nursing and Women's Health sa UK in February 22, 2022 kung sa diin nag-recruit na naman sang mga cancer patients. 44 ka mga kababaihan nga may ara nga lain-lain nga sahi sang cancer. Ang edad nila ara sa 26 to 62 years old. Ini sila ginpagamit sang Pommy for 2 years. Gin-check ang improvement sang ilang nga kondisyon. Ining mga kababaihan nga may mga cancer, nagareklamo nga sila ang nakabatsyag sang pagpalanakit sang ilang alawas, ang mood nila is affected, may hot flashes kag almost hindi sila kahulag. After taking Pomity for 2 months, hindi sila tanan ang nakabatsyag sang improvement. Nadula ang hot flashes, nadula ang pagpalanghugot sang ilang mga kaugatan, ang pain nga nabatsyagan nila sa different parts ng lawas nila, nag-improve ang mobility, meaning makahulag na sila unlike before. Ang ilang nga mood nag-improve sang sila ang nag-take sang Pomity for just 2 months time. So diri nagapakita nga ang Pomity is makabulig, especially for cancer patients. Kaya ang Pomity is listed sa National Cancer Institute sa US, magamit sang 16 years old and above, kag ini is recommended for both men and women. Pomity, the anti-cancer polyphenol, kag the super antioxidant.
Tandaan, Pomity, the anti-cancer polyphenol and the super antioxidant capsule, de kalidad kag sigurado nga epektibo batok sa mga balatian, highly recommended sa aton mga licensed medical doctors sa tanan nga mga life extension medical clinics and pharmacies. Pomity capsule, mabakal sa mga butika. Pomity capsule. Pomity.
More or less on the same day as Marcos Sr.'s tanks were grinding and rolling their way through the streets after the declaration of martial law. And it was on that significant day that Rodrigo Duterte was exposed to the tyranny of oppression and the abuse of power by the elite. And he took a decision. On that day, he chose to devote himself to a life of selfless public service. As a professor at the local police academy and as a public prosecutor in Davao, Rodrigo Duterte developed a lifelong passion, some would say an enduring obsession, for law and order, something for which he unapologetically enforced throughout his time as mayor of Davao City. Not, as the prosecution say, through sowing murder and mayhem, but through winning the love, respect and admiration of his fellow citizens. The very same citizens who continued to re-elect him time after time, term after term, on no less than 7 occasions over more than 2 decades. And throughout his 20 or so years tenure as the mayor of Davao, Rodrigo Duterte and his family transformed that city from an outpost of communist insurgency and criminal violence into what is now one of the safest cities, not just in the Philippines, but in the entire world. This was indeed the so-called Davao model, which the prosecution wants to persuade you was code for unbridled criminal violence. And this was the type of leader that the Filipino nation wanted in 2016. So, Rodrigo Duterte was elected into power, not in spite of, but specifically because of his firm and uncompromising commitment to upholding law and order. And after his election as president, Rodrigo Duterte remained a man of the people, without seeking to patronize the people. Gung-ho in his ways and with a belligerent tone, he spoke the tough tongue of the street, not the dissembling discourse of international diplomacy. He said what the people wanted to hear, but he said it in a way that offended sensibilities of world leaders unaccustomed to hearing it, one in particular, and that was what set him on the slippery slope to a prison cell in The Hague. And let me tell you how it works. It starts with the media, controlled by the powerful and the politically influential. With a sensational headline and a twisted editorial slant, the moguls sell their papers while promoting the partisan agenda of their backers in power. They highlight the salacious content while ignoring the true context, because that is what captivates the reader. And so it was with Rodrigo Duterte, whose speeches were fertile fodder for his enemies and detractors. A man whose hyperbole, bluster and rhetoric, once published, became a natural target for privately funded NGOs and human rights activists, a loose collective more commonly known as civil society. These people descended upon the Philippines to advance an agenda even more lacking in objectivity than that of the media, and heavily funded by tycoons with even grander designs, they print their glossy reports, replete with iconic photographic images of grieving families and dead bodies in rain-swept, nighttime crime scenes, all dramatically illuminated with the fluorescent glow of neon. Images carefully crafted to shock the conscience and to sway the emotions, and, I may say, to be used by the prosecutor when they don't even relate to the charges. And they gave their slick reports bold titles lifted straight out of a James Bond movie, such as License to Kill, One Shot to the Head, You Can Die Any Time, or simply, They Just Kill. The photographers are fated and their shots exhibited as art all over the world, and the brave journalists who act as their sources win awards and Nobel Prizes. And slowly but surely, their narrative becomes the sacred, unchallengeable and unshakable truth. And so the pressure builds up, and the academics who haunt the corridors of the progressive left law faculties far away in the United States tweet their research and publish their articles pontificating about crimes against humanity, systematic attacks against the civilian population, and they point their finger at one man alone, and bandy about slogans such as accountability and the prevention of impunity. They give their gratuitous advice on what should be done, sometimes academics who formerly worked alongside the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Communications and complaints are filed, and the rest, as they say, is history. In any event, we're not gathered here today to judge a man on the basis of his coarse attitude or his vulgar language. This court has convened a confirmation hearing to verify whether substantial grounds exist to believe that Rodrigo Duterte, the people's president, together with various so-called co-perpetrators, over the years of his governance, devised a criminal policy of wholesale and wanton murder. And since we are in a court of law, it is worth stressing, although I should not have to, cases are decided on the basis of evidence, not supposition, not rumour, not spicy gossip, and certainly not on the basis of political rhetoric and bluster. Because at the end of the day, were it not for those belligerent and controversial speeches, there would have been no impetus to bring the people's president to The Hague. And when the prosecution's evidence is examined, I would ask you to keep an open mind and to question not just whether that evidence has been selectively presented, but whether there exists evidence which the prosecution has failed to produce. And I say this with justifiable cause, particularly with respect to the Duterte rhetoric, as we will prove during the substantive part of our submissions. The notorious speeches on which the prosecution relies have been cherry-picked to suit its narrative, while ignoring the many other speeches when the former president tempered his bombastic language by clear reference to the principle of lawful self-defense. We, the defense, have read as many of these speeches as we can find. In fact, in our poky little office on the top floor of the furthest building away in this complex, we have a counter which ticks and ticks. And whenever we come across a speech which contradicts the prosecution's murder theory by reference to self-defense, we give a cheer. And the counter goes up once more, and we celebrate one more nail in the coffin of the prosecution's case theory. As the statistics stand as of today, in contrast to the 20 speeches on which the prosecution relies to prove incitement to kill, we have found 35 more which say the complete opposite. Let me give you two examples from the very speeches that the deputy prosecutor himself cited today. Let's refer first of all to the famous Pietà speech, which the deputy prosecutor referred to. So, this is what the deputy prosecutor said. Those of you who are still sober, those who haven't tried illegal drugs, if you don't want to die or get hurt, don't rely on the priests, including human rights advocates. They won't be able to prevent deaths, and so it goes on. But if we look further on in the very same speech, something which maybe the deputy prosecutor didn't do, this is what he had to say. To our police officers and other officials, do your job, and you will have the unwavering support of the office of the President. I will be with you all the way. Abuse your authority, and there will be hell to pay. for you will have become worse than criminality itself. Well, there you are. You have it straight in your face. PECSO, exonerating evidence within what is claimed to be the prosecution incriminating evidence. I won't take up my time by showing you the second speech, but there is one. If I have time at the end, I will show it to you. So if you add to that another 10 speeches out of the 20 speeches on which the prosecution rely in its document containing the charges, after all, we are in a court of law and we rely on evidence. And what is the evidence that's produced of these speeches? 20 of them. 10 of them, I submit, and we will show this in the substantive part of our submissions, contain exonerating evidence which support the defence case theory. In other words, if you add the 10, which we've identified in the prosecution's 20, to our total of 35, we come to 45 speeches versus 10, which we say support the use of force only in self-defence. That is 350% more speeches in favour of our defence and 354% more reasons not to confirm the charges. And you can bet your bottom dollar that at the end of today's proceedings, either the victim's self-styled legal assistant to ICC counsel or a prosecution intern will be tasked with scouring the web, looking for the means to prove Kaufman wrong. And I will declare it, and I'll declare it loudly and clearly, as if the prosecution didn't know it already. It's not enough to state that since the former president made those extremely inflammatory statements and deaths occurred, that he must, as a matter of course, be criminally responsible for those fatalities. At this stage of the proceedings, the prosecution needs to show substantial grounds to believe that the former president actually desired and foresaw that people would be killed as a result of his incendiary language. For the prosecution to assert that Rodrigo Duterte hoped for deaths to occur or was recklessly indifferent as to whether deaths would occur, which he was not, that's insufficient. So once more for the record, Rodrigo Duterte's language was aimed not at suspected drug pushers as the prosecution would have it, but directly at those poisoning society with their substances, and not, I stress, with lethal intent. His rhetoric was calculated to arouse fear and obedience, to instill fear in their hearts, and to inculcate a respect for the law in their minds. Nothing more, nothing less. That was his intent, and it was not criminal. And as many of these drug pushers demanded to enter prison, I remember seeing the images on the television, lining up to surrender and to enter prison. Now, I challenged my colleagues opposite to prove otherwise, because as we all know, in a criminal process, the burden of proof is on the prosecution. They brought this case and they need to prove it. Rodrigo Duterte need not convince the world of anything, and that is to his fortunate advantage given his current medical condition. He stands behind his legacy resolutely, and he maintains his innocence absolutely. Now, I turn to the general fairness and objectivity of the investigation, which, as we all know, is meant to be an impartial evidence-gathering exercise. As an ex-prosecutor myself, I'm used to investigating agencies pursuing all reasonable lines of inquiry, assimilating all testimonies, and digesting all documentation and forensic evidence, recommending who to target for prosecution, but not so with this prosecution. When we, the defence, study the course of the investigation in this case, one thing is plain as a pikestaff. The chief prosecutor of this court, Mr. Karim Khan, not only failed miserably to carry out his duties under the Rome Statute, requiring him to examine exonerating circumstances as well as incriminating, but he single-handedly contaminated it, so we alleged, by pursuing a one-track crusade with a view to a predetermined objective. Let me explain. Although the ICC officially authorized an investigation into the so-called Philippines situation in late 2021, it was deferred a few months later back to the Philippines for the official investigation to resume only in late 2023. But the real meat of the investigation into count 1, relating to the activities of that fictitious construct, the Davao Death Squad, had effectively started way before then, with the sole objective of nailing Rodrigo Duterte. Indeed, all the way back in 2018, during its so-called preliminary examination, the prosecution had an individual who will be referred to as P1 handed to them on a silver platter. This P1 had been interviewed at an earlier date by none other than Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan in his former capacity as a private lawyer and the self-professed legal
Life News. Serbisyong makataw. Responsable at totoo. Life News.
Oras sa Pilipinas, alas 7:48 na sa gabi sa itong siring pagpangalagad. Sabay lagid kay Dugol Piada naman dula sang makadali, no? Ano sa ilan sining nga signal abyan Arbidale. Oo. Sa pihak to sige man, no? Sige dayang live sa pihak, no? Sa aton sining screen. Ang sa ato na dula, basi kung mabalik naman ako ron sa replay na karon, abyan. Logo na abyan na Armidale. Ang sa diri lang, ang sa imong monitor palihog lang. Standby ka mo sa atong tagbalamati. Kay may gina-check man kita subong nga mga teriyon, angot ini isa-isa ka shooting incident, no? Pero gina-priority naton anay ang ining aton sining live coverage sa ining isa-isa sa mga kaso ni former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, no? Nga konserin ginabantayan na ni sang milyon-milyon nga mga Pinoy, no? Angot sa Leoganay Abian Armidale, Leoganay kay naga-feedback ita. Leoganay sira. Ha? Okay, sige.
Rodrigo Duterte's role as the mobster in chief. The same
dula agin tandog mo gali. Lihat ba pula forward. Sa ilan na to nga sa Facebook, abi sila Facebook. Amaman araw gabalik-balik siya. Okay, standby lang, no? Doon na stop siya. Abi Armidale. Pakiliog touch ang screen. Okay. Okay. Standby lagi, no? Kay doon naga utod-utod naton siling correction sa International Criminal Court, no? Sa siling tawag sini pagpayag karon sa lawyer ni President Rodrigo Duterte, si Nicolas tawag sini, no, ning Kaufman Makabianan angot sa pagsabat nila sa ining kaso nga gin pasaka, no, sa kay former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Okay, standby lagi, no? Kay kadamo ni sang ginpang site diri, no? Ang kalabanan sini Makabianan amo ang mga statement ni former President Rodrigo Duterte sang pagkampanyaya, pagpungko ya bilang mayor sa may tawag sini sa may Davao City, no? Kag pagpungko yan na as president sang pungsod Pilipinas. Ang isa kaina sa message ni ICC Deputy Prosecutor, tabunin da liog abyan Arbidel tsura ko sang mototob lang insend ko na si mo. Liog lang. Ano to abyan
Life News.
Sige. Dali ka, rin may sige be, balikan tanay. Balikan na lang si Abian Mikay siguro. Okay. Sige. Alas 7:51.
On which the prosecution relies as evidence. A trashy, scurrilous item of pulp fiction entitled Duterte Harry.
Okay.
Your Honours,
Pasod lang tanay be. Flash mo lang na kay
says it all.
Okay.
It really does scream objectivity, doesn't it?
Sige be, pasod
I
lang
say
ta.
that
Ano na siya?
sarcastically, of course.
Shooting incident.
Fortunately for us,
sige.
the defence, the appeals chamber, has now disqualified Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan from this case. A welcome development as a matter of ethical propriety, but in our opinion, too late in the day to salvage the integrity of the investigation that he had supervised. An investigation in the course of which he concealed his former role as the victim's counsel, who had deemed our client a suspected murderer as far back as 2000.
Alas 7:52 na sa gabi sa itong siring pangalagad. Sekretary itong siring patrol, may Gintiro sa subong gabi. Bian Mikay, with your report kami please.
May nabaton kita nga information na may gintiro diri sa may barangay Kabugaw, Sorpavia. Kung sa diin ang ining biktima nakasakay ini siya sa iya sininga bisikleta. So sa information naton diri sa lugar, may nabatian na lang isa kalupok diri sa lugar man mismo kag nakita na lang ang ining biktima nga natiruhan. So sa regarding balaatin Alvin kung sa diin siya dapit natiruhan, wala pa kita sang information kahit kalabanan sa mga nagkadto diri is wala naman bala nila makita ang biktima kay pag-abot nila sa area, ginsakay na kuno sa may emergency sa ambulansya para igadulong sa pinakamalapit nga ospital. So sa status sang ining biktima wala pa kita kahibalo kung ano ang iya sininga nga status kay subong padayon sa gihapon ang investigasyon sang ining kapulisan.
Abi Mikay,
sa lugar,
Abi Mikay, ang exact nga barangay sini din?
Barangay Kabugaw, Sorpavia, Iloilo, Apian Aljon.
Di na yun sa may Kabugaw, Sur, di man? Sa highway, gini?
Sa Tubang, yes, sa highway, ini siya. Sa Tubang, sa Vita Rich nga, ano ni? Oo, Vita Rich nga, dili mismo sa tabok niya. Sa tabok niya mismo, Apian Aljon. So sa information naton, ang guard dira sa area is nakapati na lang bala sang lupok. So pagbati niya, gilayon siya nga nagnawag sang bulig, nagpanawag sang bulig kag nakita diri ang biktima kag diri sa area man may nakitaan nga isa ka bala kag ang bisikleta sang ining biktima Apian Aljon.
Oo. Ang pangalan sang ining lalaki way pagta ideya no kung taga dira man siya sa barangay.
Yes, wala. Oo. Yes, wala pa kita ban sa information kung taga diri. Yes, taga diri ang ining biktima pero for confirmation pa ina siya Apian Aljon kay hindi ko sigurado kung sa iya gid man ang ining bike.
Okay.
Pero somehow, sa pagpamangkot natin diri, especially sa may barangay Talo, diri ka din sa area, nga insupermar sang utod sa ining biktima nga bike niya ang nakita diri sa area. Pero hindi ko sigurado kung siya bala ang nakasakay dira sa bike.
Kay, ang inyong video sini, no? Kung lang tawag na tondo mountain bike ini.
Yes, correct. Again,
paano ang iya sini nga mountain bike, ano man gid pahigad lang ni o kung halinis to nga karsada, anong plasada?
Amo pa na ang wala natin mahibaluan again Alvin kung makita sa video sa pinakahigad siya kumbaga may mga tanong bala diri sa mismo sa area ang bike niya nga nakasandig sa may pader kag ang pader may dugo man.
Okay. Ang kilid ni sang sang pader pinta na sure dugo gini kay?
Come again.
Sila kung niyo ang sa pader ni dugo ni?
Yes, tubo ina sang biktima again Alvin.
So butsi ganon. So butsi ganon, ang posibilidad na ng taon na to, no? Nga napilasan siya, conscious siya, ginikap ya pilas siya may dugo, gibutang nga bike niya, gintukod niya kamot siya sa pader. Posible atin Alvin. Kay when it comes sa may sa may igo niya, mo pa na ang hindi natin may baluan subong kay ang mga diri man sa area nga nakakadto is wala man sila information kung sa diin kay pag-abot nila diri ginsakay na sa ambulansya kag gindala sa pinakamalapit na ospital ang biktima Aben Aljon. Ang nagtiro sa iya anong ginasakyan? Amo pa na Aben Aljon ang atong sininga hibaluon kay wala pa kita information regarding sa nagtiro. Okay. Kung lang tawon wala diri ang lugar Aben Aljon medyo madulom siya kag wala kung may makit-an na CCTV sa area. So highway gid ini siya pag probably kung may mga naganabay nga mga salakyan hindi mo gid bala mabatian ang pagniluko. Sa information ko di kay nga nagsulod sa akon ang ining lalaki nga nagadala sa bisikleta niya ginipingan siya sang auto, no? Ginipingan sa auto kag gintiro, no? So wala mabalaan kon ang ining nagtiro amo ang driver mismo o kung may upod siya sa auto, no? Amo na information nga nabato naton kay limited gid. So ang isa diri sa makahibalo ang mga barangay officials gid sa lugar, no? So may barangay Kabugaw Sorkay, no?
Yes, Abian Aljun. So, kagina, nakapamakot man kita diri sa barangay officials. O galing kay mo to ang feeling nila, pag abot nila sa area, wala naman di ang biktima, kag ang bike lang gidi ang nakita nila diri.
Oo, pero i-check na lang ang pangalan niya, ano obra niya, kag kung may records barangay kay tawag sini, no, mas may mahimata, man ang magkadto, or din siya kunong hospital, gindala?
Sir, excuse me, sir, di yung hospital din dala ang victim, sir? Okay, sige. Sige. Kagawad.
Si kagawad, gali,
Sabihin sa hospital. Sabihin sa hospital, sa gindala? Oo. Kung sino ang nag-get?
Oo, nakaway naman ang zero, gitman, why na. Akala mo na lang, hindi nakita na po. Pagkitaan mo lang, ikarabutan naman.
Amulan kita?
Oo, amulan. Pagkitaan mo man to ang mga sa kaning ang idea, kung ang konfirmasyon, gisin mo, gito. Why pa kami?
Pero sir, possible ka dali man dito sa area nyo?
Hindi lang po sure kasi why kami by sige tayo kami atong mga pulis. Hindi pa natin makonfirma kung talaga yabi naman naman.
Okay.
Pero kilala ni kagawad ng gintiro?
Pero kilala mo, sir?
Hindi, ang mura ni Way kali ko palo kung sino siya, hindi pala mo identify at nga matapos ang instalasyon naman. Naulat ang suko, subong.
Okay.
Ari kami do tambay ko sang gawat ay makot ang sulatan mo ng suko nga para magano din.
Okay.
Kamong ginapamangkot da kon kilala nyo kay ara kamo da, no? Natural na ginapamangkot abi mi kay do alsa gito si kagawa daw.
Gani. Sir, but anyway, sabi na Aljun, subong ginaulat na lang man ang Soko base kay kagawat.
Obligasyon nyo na pamangkoton kamo da kay kamo barangay official da. Mangkoton kamo din si isog ba kamo da. Batayin yung barangay nyo da. Oh, abi mi kay?
Oo. Kay pag-abot man bala nila dili sa area, again Aljun, kung ano ang nakitaan ko diri, amo ba na ang naabtan nila dili sa area. Okay,
ti magamon ni ang sa barangay da mi kay makitaan mo ng bisikleta hindi na malayo nga tawag sini no ning kilala lang gapan nagiya sina pagaling ti iban bisan kilala nila ang bal nila hindi na nila kilala ti budlay na bla makamit lang sila kag mabalaan mo kung sinong suspect biyan mi kay sige kay tagaanta ka mo da chimpo no nga pangusisa sini kay kadasig na sa aton sini nga oras guys ning masulod si Abian Ralph sa dili kilang modugay kay.
Yes, Abian Aljun. So, bantayan lang ang dugang sini nga mga
ay, detalye. Kay, may ano da? May nakita da nga slag or empty shells lugar?
Sa pagpamangkot natin, may isa nga bala nga nakitaan dito sa area.
Iyasang?
Hindi lang ako sigurado, Abian Aljun, kung iyasang ano.
Oo, sige. Kadason, basi kung pwede makuhaan pangalan si Kagawad, ha?
Oh, yes. Noted, Abian Aljun.
Thank you, Ged.
So, bantayan lang natin ang dugang sini nga mga detalye. Ikan diri sa may Pavia, kaupo si Agan James Cooper, ini si Aden Mikay Mendoza, para sa balita na may integridad at prinsipyo. Live Radio.
Tigagid kay Abian Mikay Mendoza. Angot ni sa lalaki nga tiro sang suspect nga nagasakay ban sa auto, no? Di nagabisikleta ining biktima sang gintiro sa initial aton diri information. Padayon pang investigasyon sa aton sini nga kapulisan angot sini, no? Sa may Pabia Municipal Police Station. Natabo ini mga alas 7:30 subong gabi sa may Kabugaw Sur, Pavia, Iloilo. Sa utubang ini kuno sang Vita Rich kon si Abian Mikay pa mga kabyanan, no? Kag kon latawon naton kung nagabisikleta siya ti labad-laban ara da siya sa higad sa karsada kag sa gintiro nagamat-amat siya pahigad dalaya bisikleta niya kag ang iyang kamot nakatukod pa ni Smader amo ni nga may dugo, no? So tugyan ta na Crowns Police ang dugang sa investigation angot sini makabyanan nagstambay makamo no sa padayon naton nga pagsunod sa ining hearing sa kaso ni former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Standby, oras alas 8:01.
Ang mahigko nga colon makapalain sa lawas. Dako ang posibilidad nga ma-poison ka. And worst is, eventually ma-develop sa colon cancer kung mapabayaan. Dirty colon is the #1 silent killer. Death begins in the colon. Mag-Super Fiber, the fast-acting colon cleansing product approved by the FDA Philippines. Para makita ang pagidang mas maayong resulta, i-combine ang pag-inom sa Life Extension Vitamin D3 kag Super Fiber. Para sa healthy and good digestion, mag-inom adlaw-adlaw sang Super Fiber. Mabakal sa mga butika. Pomety Capsule, the super antioxidant. Ang kapsula nga nagapakita sa mabaskog nga ebidensya sa pagpanubos ang PSA nga isa ka indicator sa presensya sang cancer sa prostate sa mga kalalakihan. Himo gikan sa pomegranate fruit, green tea, curcumin kag broccoli. Available sa mga butika kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics para proteksyon batok sa mga free radicals nga posible makatuga sa mga balatian sa aton lawas. Pomety Capsule. Pomety Capsule, the anti-cancer polyphenol.
Life Extension Vitamin D3.
Ako si Dr. Faye Abigail Fortich. Pinili ko ang Life Extension Vitamin D3 dahil ito ay isang standalone D3 na puro, potent at dekalidad. Ito din ay 100% gawa sa United States, the Life Extension Foundation, na may solid track record and credibility since 1980 and has been awarded as one of the most top-rated vitamin D3 brands in the US. So why choose suboptimal? Choose the best. Choose Life Extension Vitamin D3.
Life Extension Vitamin D3, the #1 trusted brand of vitamin D3 by the medical doctors in the Philippines. Life Extension Vitamin D3, the science of a healthier life.
Pomety Capsule, the super antioxidant. Ang kapsula nga nagapakita sa mabaskog nga ebidensya sa pagpanubos ang PSA nga isa ka indicator sa presensya sang cancer sa prostate sa mga kalalakihan. Himo gikan sa pomegranate fruit, green tea, curcumin kag broccoli. Available sa mga butika kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics para proteksyon batok sa mga free radicals nga posible makatuga sa mga balatian sa aton lawas. Pomety Capsule. Pomety Capsule, the anti-cancer polyphenol. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Subong atong pamatian si Dr. Manfred Marpa.
Coffee drinker ka bala? I would recommend my favorite coffee, Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Bangod kay ang main ingredient niya sini is vitamin D3. Kag nakilalaan nyo naman kita kung ano ang aton nga paborito nga supplement nga gina-promote. So may kapi ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa. May reishi mushroom extract kag may mangosteen fruit extract man ini. Kung imoy combine ini nga tatlo, may ara ini siya synergistic nga benepisyo para sa aton nga ikaayong lawas. Ni si Dr. Marpa kag sa tanan mayong adlaw.
Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. May problema ka ba na sa imong pagpamuhin? Mag-Super Fiber, the fast-acting colon cleansing product aprobado sang FDA. Garantisado nga epektibo in just 2 to 8 hours. Mapagwa mo na ang mga higko ka pwede makahatag sa imo sa mga malalakag makamamatay nga sakit. Dirty colon is the #1 silent killer. Mas makita pagid nato na maayong resulta kung i-combine ang pag-inom sa Life Extension Vitamin D3 kag Super Fiber. Para sa healthy and good digestion, mag-inom adlaw-adlaw sang Super Fiber. Mabakal sa mga butika. Pomety Capsule, the super antioxidant. Ang kapsula nga nagapakita sa mabaskog nga ebidensya sa pagpanubos ang PSA nga isa ka indicator sa presensya sang cancer sa prostate sa mga kalalakihan. Himo gikan sa pomegranate fruit, green tea, curcumin kag broccoli. Proteksyon batok sa mga free radicals nga posible makatuga sa mga balatian sa aton lawas. Pomety Capsule, the anti-cancer polyphenol. Life Extension Philippines Group of Medical Clinics and Pharmacies.
Hi, ini si Dr. Manfred Marpa, member sa Medical Advisory Board sa Life Extension Philippines kag affiliate clinician sa Life Extension Group of Clinics. Ang malipayon kag may nabyanon nga nagaagda sa inyo nga mag-avail sang libre kag dekalidad nga medical check-up sa aton nga mga klinika. Agud malikawan ang mas malala nga mga balatian pinaagi sa mas temprano kag regular nga pagpa-check-up. Gani, magpalapit na kag magkadto sa pinakamalapit na Life Extension Clinic sa inyo duo.
Life Extension Philippines Group of Medical Clinics and Pharmacies for longer life. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Mayong adlaw sa tanan. Nakapangapin na ba nakamudira? Para kumpleto ang inyong adlaw, mag-inom na sa Vita D Plus Coffee Mix nga may vitamin D3. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix fortified with vitamin D3. Reishi mushroom kag mangosteen fruit extract. Mabakal sa mga butika.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Smith. I'm a medical doctor and senior health scientist of the Life Extension Foundation, USA. Many studies have shown that optimized vitamin D level may slash our risk of cancer development, especially breast, colon, prostate, and other types of cancer. Life Extension Vitamin D3 may also help us to regulate our sugar level and may also have benefits for the prevention of cardiovascular disease. I personally recommend a daily supplementation of Life Extension Vitamin D3 for everybody. This is the most practical and wise way to protect our health from diseases like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and a lot of other health conditions.
Life Extension Vitamin D3, the science of a healthier life. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Abyan, naidlaw ka na ba na magkape sang may vitamin D3, reishi mushroom kag mangosteen fruit extract? Nagbalik na. Subong Vita D Plus Coffee Mix na. Fortified with vitamin D3. Mas manami kag ginpanamit. Ang kape para sa ikayong lawas mo. Pwede sa may mga diabetes. Tandaan, Vita D Plus Coffee Mix na. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. May kape ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa. Mabakal na sa mga butika. Kadamo sa mga produkto sa merkado nga puro pasalig nga makahatag sang alivyo sa aton ikayong lawas. Aton ginapakilala ang Pommy Tea. Ini scientifically validated kag clinically proven nga produkto sa mga laboratory tests sa Europa nga nagpakita sang babastog nga ebidensya sa proteksyon sang aton lawas batok sa mga balatian. Pommy Tea kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics. Tandaan, Pommy Tea Capsule.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life News.
Oras sa DYRP Live Radio Iloilo, alas 8:08. Oras ginadulong sa aton sa Life Extension Vitamin D3, Vita D Plus Coffee Mix, Pomity Capsule, Super Fiber, kag White Tomato Capsule ni Dr. Frey. Balik diri sa special coverage mga kabyanan.
Life News.
Ang DYRP Live Radio Iloilo, parte diri sa confirmation hearing sa kay former President Rodrigo Duterte dito sa may bahin sa The Hague, gani sa mga nagabantay kag nagatutok diri sa ato sini nga pagpangalagad sa dili gid lamang madugay. Igadulong naton ang latest mga kabyanan nga mga update dagika na dito kay ti ginasiling nila nga magakuan ini siya magalawig o siling nila interrupted after 90 minutes kag will resume later at 2 p.m. Netherlands time Abian Army. Ang Netherlands time, check tabi ang time zone sang Pilipinas kag Netherlands diri kiti abansi sila dito mga kabyanan mo. Okay. Para nga ma-plastar nato na diri sa ato sini nga mga taga Palamati kag makatutok ang ato sini nga mga suki nga mga Palamati sa sini nga mga tinion. Ang European standard gali ini sila sa Netherlands dito ti alas 2 dito sa ila mga 8 hours kita nga 6 to 7 hours kita nga bansi Abian Armidale sang oras dito sa maya bahin sang Netherlands kag ongoing ang hearing dito. Damo sa mga napanghambal dito ang mga judges sa sining hearing, confirmation hearing ni anay President Duterte apang nakibot kita gulpi lang diri matapos nga may ara nga ginadulong sa biyan mikay nga isa ka flash report dira sa may Kabugaw Sur pa via Iloilo.
Life News.
Ang ining Duterte confirmation of hearing charges mga kabyanan, ang mga key point la diri sa Council of Victims siling niya. In this opening statement siling na Attorney Joel Batuyan nag-call sang pre-trial chamber to confirm ang charges against kay Duterte. Inasiling niya will restore the dignity of those who were killed and the honor of their families. Kag ining drug war gid amo ning tawag nila nga most bloody period of war in the Philippines.
Life News.
Sa mga biktima, mga kabyanan.
Life
Kag
News.
sa mga adiktos.
Life News.
Pero sa mga nalipay iya sa away kontra illegal nga droga,
Life News.
mga kabyanan ti duwa man ni ka faction mo, may ara nga pabor, may ara nga hindi pabor.
Life
Di
News.
ilatawa niya bala subong. Kay wala na sang drug on war ang Marcos administration.
Life
Natawa.
News.
Linibo minilyon ang balor sa mga illegal nga droga nga na-recover. Bangod wala sang kahadlok.
Life News.
Ang worst, ang mga nadakpan sa tiyempo ni Duterte.
Life News.
Amo man na sila
ang mga nakagwa kag nadakpa naman subong.
Life News.
Oh. Sa counsel iya sa mga victim, a former president should face the court as it would have constituted a vital component of justice for the victims.
Life News.
Kag impunity remains in the Philippines.
Life
Ano
News.
may rejoinder? Sige. Mga kabiyanan, dugangan tapan ni karon ang kay Tatay Diggs nga hearing dito sa Maydahig sa diin wala siya nag-attend. Kag sa sining nga mga tinihon, kuha untang dugang update talin sa shooting sa Banwasang Pabiya upod sa kay Abian Mike Istanyal. Abian Mike, mayong gabi.
Yes, sabihan help na yung gabi. Sugpon sa report iba ni Kai, na-interview naton si Chief of Police ang Banwasang Pabiya, Iloilo, si Sir Presquito. Din confirm niya sa ato, no, nga pagkatapos nga din ang word na gingamit ay tambakan. Ginbalabagan ang ining biktima nga nakabisikleta dira sa Cabugao Sur, Pabiya, Iloilo. Ginpanaugan sang duha ka mga sospitsado halin sa pula nga salakyan pero dosigan kuno kambal ni Sir Presquito kagintiro isa ka beses ang biktima. And then gintuangan nila karga sa pula nga sort of auto pakadto sa direksyon sang syudad sang Iloilo. Ang ina nga information halin sa security guard nga nakita kung paano natabo ang insidente nga amo man ang nagtawag sa police station sa Pabiya para nga i-report ang ining insidente. Diyan na interview kita no sa kay Sir Presquito ang utsing balita.
Oh, nadula sabihan Mike.
Yes, ara bilang ato na interview no sa forward nato sa Tech General.
Sige. Pamatian ta.
Update lang. Sir, kamusta sir ang shooting dira sa imong area?
So, dito sa may barangay Cabugao sa Pabiya, no? So, may na-lantad nga shooting incident.
Okay.
So, ato nga witness amo na yung security guard sa Baita Ridge Corporation.
Oho.
So, suno sa iya, may nagdulog ko nung salakyan na pula. Kag may naglabay yun nga nakabike ko, no? Nakabike nga, amo na yung biktima ko nung nakabike.
Oho, okay.
So, paglabay sa nakabike, gintambagan ka nun nila. So, pagtambag, dito na sa diyon nakabati sa lupok sa singgit ng biktima ka nung tabang.
Oho.
So, after sina, na ang gwardiya, sunod sa gwardiya, nagtawag na siya sa PNP, kag wala na siya kabalo sa natabo pa nga iban.
Okay.
So, sunod naman sa Ambalya Pagis, dugang istorya, may witness pagid ko nung nakamotor, ang istorya niya, nga after ka no isulod niya sa salakyan niya ang ang biktima, nag-U-turn sila, going city ang ilang away.
Okay. Ano nang salakyan nag-isudlan sa victim? Ano yung nagbulig sa iya o kung ginkarga sa salakyan sa mga suspitsado?
Ginkarga sa salakyan sa suspitsado.
Okay. So, gindala nilang victim? Okay. Pilang suspect, sir, according sa initial investigation naton?
Sunod sa gwardiya, isa duwa.
Ano nga salakyan naging kargahan sa iya?
Ang Ambalya man lang, sir, pula ko nung salakyan, pero hindi iya ma-determine kung ano klase nga salakyan.
And then, sedan or pick-up or van or ano?
Sir, gamay ka nung salakyan.
Gamay nga salakyan.
Basi sedan.
Pakadto sa direksyon sang city. Okay. Ano sir man? Kahulag pang victim sa karga nila?
Wala na sa sir wala na imutadan, kaya suno siya. After ko na sa pagbati sa lupok, nagtawag sa diyon sa PNP.
Okay.
Nagbalik sa iya nga post, nagtawag sa PNP, kag wala na sa kabalo, pag tanaw ko no liwat, wala nang salakyan.
Oo. Bali, pila ka lupok ang batian ko no, sir?
Isa man lang ko, no?
Isa ka lupok. Ano maging samtang nagabike ang victim din sa pakadto nga direksyon?
Santa Barbara.
So, ginovertikan siya tapos ginbalabagan amo na.
Dawa muna, sir, bali.
O kung gintupungan siya
kaya,
tapos gintiro.
Ang gabike ni ko, no, dire sa may sidewalk, sa sidewalk sa gabike.
Okay, tapos
Tapos kuno ang salakyan ni nga nagdulog, may nagwa ng duwa ka tawo, nagaging tampagan siya.
Oh, ang tambagan do ginbantayan no o kung ginbanggaan mo na. Tapos gintiro.
Oo.
Tapos gintiro kag ginsulod sa salakyan.
Oo.
Nga pula and then nagkadto sa direksyon sa Iloilo City. Okay, mga anong oras kuno sir man?
Around kuno mga 6:20, 6:25 kuno sir mo lang ang kuno sa aton nga Gordya.
Kag ang aton exact place of the incident
Sa may barangay Kabugaw Sur, Pabiya sa may Kilid Highway.
Oh, and then ang iya nga bisikleta nabilin pa to sa may area probably.
Ay, yes sir.
Okay. So sa ano ang pagsang nabaton sang Pabiya Municipal Police Station ang report anong hinimo sang police station naton under your command?
So nagresponde din naton nga patroller sir, amo ning aton nga SWAT, amo ning nagresponde kaga nangusisa man no.
Okay.
Sa mga bystander, habang ang nausisa ng gid nila amo ni ang gwardiya.
Okay. Oo. May recovery sir sa area.
Oo, sir, isa ka bike kaga isa ka ka basyo.
Basiyo sang may initial kita nga pag-identify sa sa official.
Hindi pa ma-identify sa aton nga sir nga investigador. Pero amo pala
Pero pistola kay siyempre arang basiyo niya.
Oo, pistola.
Ano sir ang imong pag-alert sini sa pumuluyo? Anything nga pwede mo ang mensahe mo?
Sa tanan nga pumuluyo sa nga Pabiya, municipality of Pabiya, kung may nakita ka nga mga amo na ang salakyan, ang pula nga salakyan, kaga siyempre sa mga base sa nakakilala sa bike sang biktima, pwede ka makapalapit sa Pabiya Police Station kaya ang inyong impormasyon makahatagid sang dako nga bulig para sa investigasyon sang Pabiya PNP.
Most likely sir may mga CCTV kita nga pwede check soonest
Yes sir. Bali nag-connect naman kami sa may Baita Ridge kung may CCTV sila sa highway. So suno sa ila hindi pa sila ka-tagid kag hindi man sila kapalantaw kay kinahanglan gid kuno sa request letter kag approval sang ilang management. So ako na sir ang gina-work out sa subong. So mapasa to subong sa request letter ta. Pero pasalig nila buwas pa ni kuno sir ma-approve.
Okay. So kinahanglan sir i-plus alarm ta ini muna.
Sir.
Okay. So na-plus alarm mo naman sa mga neighboring barangays and
nakipag-angot naman ta pati sa ibang nga station.
Okay, sige. Okay. Sir, salamat. Kamusta din si Police Officer Fprrd Hepe sang Pabiya Municipal Police Station. So natin natunta kaging plus alam na ni kag ongoing sa gihapon ng sining hot pursuit operation ang sining shooting incident. Ako siya din Mike Istaniel para sa balita nga may integridad at prinsipyo, live radio.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo, live news.
Bantayan pang dugang update mga kabyanan sa natabo nga shooting incident dara sa may Pavia, Iloilo sa sinilang gid nya gabi kadungan sang sining ginapatigayon. By the way mga ginapatigayon nga hearing dito sa kay confirmation hearing dito sa kay Tatay Dig sa dahig sa kaso mga kabyanan nga pagpatay regarding sa sini nga war on drugs sa mga kaabyanan. Sa na-mention ta kaina ang war on drugs hindi ini siya perpekto. May ara nga mga napatay sa pag-abuso man sang mga kapulisan, mga kaabyanan. Inang mga ginarason na lang bala nga napatay siya bangod nga nagbato mga abyan. Pero ining mga legitimate nga mga operation amo ni siya ang do medyo mauswelto si Tatay Diggs. Detalyado ang ginapatpat dito sa ginpatpat sa may dahig Netherlands. Ang mga ginpang mention dito kay na kung ano ang mga gipanghambal ni Tatay Diggs kag mga gipangako niya sa mga media interviews. Siling ganis ang iban baw kompleto sa detalye ang dahig Netherlands ba? Ti siling sang iban man, ti ko ng mga council lang ni sang mga kontra sa kay Tatay Diggs nga mga nga mga biktima sang war on drugs. Hindi ni sila makaya kung wala sang may nagsuporta. Ang pamangkot mga kaabyanan, sino diri ang nag-provide sa mga dokumento. Sa mga nagliligad nga mga pronouncement, naghambal ang presidente sang Pilipinas, BBM, nga hindi siya maga-provide sa mga dokumento. Pero seems nga nagagwa subong mga kaabyanan nga daw si PBBM kagang Pilipinas nga administrasyon, ang Marcos administration, nag-provide sang mga dokumento mga kaabyanan sang sining ginapatigayon subong nga hearing dira sa may dahig. Sa tinutuyo man lang siling sang iban nga madula sa limelight sang Philippine politics ang mga Duterte sa diin gintarget ang ilang patriarch mga kabyanan nga amo ni siya si Presidente Rodrigo Duterte. Ti amo ning gingamit nga kaso sa iya kay kung diri sa Pilipinas medyo maburbudlayan sila eh. So ang ginobra, ginatudlo man ng Marcos administration kay hindi siya kagwanta sa mga buyayaw ng ligato ni Tatay Diggs mo. Hindi nila mapunggan sa Pilipinas si Tatay Diggs eh. Sa kampanya, ginahambal nga bangag si Marcos. Di ba? Ti nagahipos lang man kag way nagasabat si Marcos mga kabyanan. Kag kinibot sang tanan nga may warrant of arrest na si Tatay Diggs sang International Criminal Court kag ti amo na yung ginhambal sang iba nagligad nga ginturn over naton ang isa ka Pilipino didto sa may dahig Netherlands para sa isa ka kaso mga kaabyanan or sa madamo nga kaso nga pagpatay diri sa pungsod Pilipinas nga ti siling ganis ang iba nindiya. Kung wala nagagana nga aton nga justice system diri sa Pilipinas, pwede ina siya ka-intervene o kung makaintra ang International Criminal Court. Tigaring, mahambal man lang sila, pwede man na siya kay ti siyempre International Criminal Court. Ti damo sa mga spekulasyon. Pero, moving forward, ari ng confirmation hearing. Kag, ginahambal diri mga kaabyanan sang pila ka mga council sang ang council sang mga biktima sang sining war on drugs nga dapat mapaidalom na into trial ining kaso ni Tatay Diggs mga kabyanan.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life
Di
News.
ko magambal nga trial ti ara na sa korte mansig na presenta sa ila sining mga dokumento mga kabyanan. Siling gani isang ni sa opening statement ni doon na ko tsaka pag-pronounce na kon Mami or Mame man diaye niyang sang prosecution sa confirmation of charges hearing sa International Criminal Court kay anay Presidente Rodrigo Duterte nga hambal niya may gahom ang korte nga magbuyagyag gid sa mga kamatuoran kag matuod angot sa matuod nga natabo sa ining war on drugs ni Presidente Duterte mga kabyanan. Kag sabay naman niya ni Nicholas Kaufman ang iyang nga opening statement dito kaina nga chairman sa sining hearing manamana sa dahig dito mga kabyanan. Siling niya mga pila ka mga na-share niya kag nahambal. Siling niya napaslawan kuno ang Marcos administration sa promisa nila nga buligan ang anay presidente.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life
Aryo,
News.
kay ti pinabayaan naton ang war on drugs kagway na sustain. Nga mo ni tani ang ginahambal ng ligad sang mga supporters ni Duterte nga nang suporta kay BBM. Nga ma-BBM kay siya ang mapadayon sang war on drugs ni anay President Rodrigo Duterte. Pero Aryo, may pasudlon kita nga isa ka buy-bust operation upod sa kay Abian Eric kanya sa Abian Eric, mayong gabi.
abyan ral pagsaton nga mga taga palamati may conduct nga drug bypass operation ang Station Drug Enforcement Team sa Iloilo City Police Station 5 no sa pagpanguna ni Police Lieutenant Eric Gunyabo ang ila sa Assistant Deputy Station Commander. Isa diri ka subject ang nabaklan siyang payag sa kapasok sa Shay. Sining suspected shabu. Ang subject lalaki ini si Abyan Ralph. Sir, taga din ka, sir? Sabok suba. Sityo Ilaya, Saro. Oh, kagamit ko ng droga. Ha? Saan ka ba? Anong trabaho mo?
Wala siya kami, asma ko, sir.
Yes, maka. Wala ka trabaho? So, din ka kuha sa kinabakal mo, ikan?
Wala naman sa sulod siya. Wala ko.
Gara ni runner ka? Pila mag-inansya mo kung mag-runner ka?
Depende na, sir. Kung bugas-bugas na, sir, may mga bag.
May bata ka, o?
No,
Pila ka bilo?
Bila.
Pila eskwila?
Dagko, sir.
So, din yung tali ng items?
Wala naman sa pangalak na.
So, din yung kinala mo?
Bila sulod.
Din yung sulod? Pinapait? Ano ba niyo mong ayo lang alias mo lang?
CR.
CR? Sila edad mo CR? 40 taon niya. So, sabihan si Sir GR ining subject sa bypass operation. Aminado man siya nga nag-runner siya kag naga-engage sa illegal nga droga kung nagagamit bala based sa aton sila nga pag pamangkot.
Pwede ka istorya sa iya, Abyan Eric?
Abyan Ralph?
Pwede ka istorya sa iya, be, gamay lang, be. May pangkot lang ko gamay.
Sir, si
General Angas ni mo?
Si Abyan Ralph sa Pamilya.
Ano, sir?
Sir, mayong gabi. Nahambal mo may hapo ka, tapos nagagamit ka siya. Bumabulong ang hapo?
Hindi lang ko, sir. May sir.
Oh, delikado na kay may hapo ka nga gagamit ka siya buaw.
Kita mo na, sir, na ano ko lang, sir, kung naglain, ginawa.
O maglain pag ginawa mo, nagagamit ka siya bo? Oo, tapos, gamayo dayon ang pag ginawa mo.
Hindi man yun, sir.
Ay nagadulang mayo nga malain mo nga pag ginawa kung magamit ka siya bo?
Hindi man kisa, sir. Sabo man, sir. May ano, mga bulong, sir.
Pero mapahagan-hagan niya kung nagasyabo ka?
Hindi man, sir.
Ti magluwas dira nga nagagamit ka kung maglain matsyag mo na pag rason nga nagagamit ka siya bo?
Wala man, sir. Pang ano man, lingaw-lingaw.
Lingaw-lingaw? Ano nga klase ka lingaw-lingaw na, sir?
Dalawa na sa bisyo, sir.
Dugay ka na nagabisyo?
Dugay man, sir, pero hindi man garming. Wala man sa sarangan. Kwanit mo, sir. May ara man may makatag sa.
Saan ka nagsugod bisyo?
Dugay naman, sir, pero laksa malaka man.
Mga ano nga tuig?
Mga may pito na wala, sir.
Pito ka tuig? Hindi ka mapito ka tuig, mga 2019? Or 2018? Da mga muna, no?
Bakit?
Dira ka ng sugod, no?
Oo, sir.
Oh. Pero ti isang presidente si Tatay Diggs, nagamit ka siya. Buo ko nagbaligya ka, wala?
Huwag ba, sa bali ito, ginatipon, kung natagahan, pero mo na mga para mong kwartal, wala mo.
Chimpo to ni Tatay Diggs, wala ka nagagamit siya, bo?
Wala na, sir. Laka na.
Nagaano ka lang sadto?
Ano, sir?
Laka lang gamit mo sadto, di ba?
Oo, sir.
Ano ni mo? Ikaw kuno nag-runner? Pila ginatag si mo?
Hindi na, sir. Ginabulingan na, sir.
Oh, mga pila kalabanan? 200, 500?
Ano na, sir? Hindi mga labot yun ito, sir.
Hindi ba kalabot 500? Tapos sino nakuhaan mo?
Ang dira man sulod, sir. Alam mo na yung kaboard na ako.
Pero taga din gagigani ha?
Tabok suba.
Tabok suba, lapas?
Haro, sir.
Haro. Din ka board, di ka nadakpan sa bom?
Dari sa Mirasol.
Sa Mirasol. Mirasol, dari sa may unahan lang sang wit.
Dahil sa may barangay, Kyo Abito, Abienral.
Akyo Abito. Abi, Rasol Manduriao. Dire lagli sa unahan, no? Okay. Ti, amo niyo, anong pinakadamo mo nga shabu nga na bitbit?
Sir.
Mga pila, may 1 kilo, nakadala ka sa una, wala? Ha? Mga pila lang ka, sachet, pera ka gramo?
Sachet lang, sir.
Mga pila ka sachet?
Depende na, sir, ang mabilang matang sa ano.
May arangan na dala ka nga itong kakakilo, tukuting bon ang isa ka sa mga sachet mo na bitbit? Wala man? Karon kati mo na ginagmay-gagmay mo lang ang imo di nga komisyon. Tiway ka ginahadlok? Hello, sir?
Sir,
Abienral.
Oo.
Oo, ginahapo siya. Hindi siya ka diretso-diretso sa batya.
Di tagayan ng shabuda?
Hindi na siguro niya magabit. Sige, rin sa lamisa. Bulong sa hapo.
Bulong mo sa hapo, pero hindi mo ka na madula. Kung isa nagpahagan-hagan lang man, ongoing sa mga inventory dira Abian Eric. Grabe no, taga-tabuk suba haro siya. Dira pa siya kalabot sa may Mirasol Manduriao, sa may Kyobeto.
Yes, correct. There is another plan sa bypass operation.
Palagsibi siya, gabike siya. Palagsibi ni mo, ano reaction mo nimo kay si Tatay Dig? Subong ato sa dahig kasuhan siya sa pagpamatay sa mga adik nimo?
Ano kuno reaction mo kay nabasahan na sang criminal charges si former President Duterte? Yung pamatay sa adik la? Wala sa kuno biyan na Ralph.
No.
Wala siya kuno kabalo.
Wala siya kabalo. Pero bilang isa ka nagagamit, kiti yung Tatay Digso na dakop, ano mambal niya? Na priso?
Si Duterte sa una. Oo, siya naman mambal mo siya kay subong sa
priso sa priso ni mo? Ano mambal mo kay priso si Tatay Digso bong?
No comment
Comment siya? Di kalabanan abi nga sa bat Abian Eric, kung pamangkuton sang pulis, kung sino ginakuhaan mo kay sa kakilala. Do abos mo na sa mga baybas kaya mo do pattern na no?
Depende man abi may iba na abi admitted man sila kon ila sila nga mga sala.
Do abot niya bala nga hindi niya magtudlo kung sino ginakuhaan niya to. Tapos kung may tudlo man, mga labay-labay man niya mga ngalan. Doon na balang ampang nila, bala Abian Eric, para nga makalusot sila sa ilang kaso nga ni sa pagbaylar sa illegal nga droga.
Correct, Abian Ralph. Subong, natapos na inventory ang mga suspected illegal drugs. Subong naman iya ang mga non-drug evidence naman kasubong sa nang na-recover nga by bus money, ang ining cellphone nga posible gingamit transaksyon, ang pouch nga nasudlan sang 4 kadugang pasisasyays nga may tanan sa suspected shabu kag sa ning by bus money Abienral.
Okay. Mga pila ka sachet na tanan?
5 all in all 5 ka elongated plastic
estimated nga street value?
Abienral.
Estimated nga street value?
Ang estimated naton dari Abienral nga estimated ko man ang but subject for confirmation ini iya sang aton sining kapulisan 20 grams Abienral, 20 grams times naton abi sa sa 6,800 nga standard drug price nga ginasunod sa aton nga otoridad, madlagyan sa 136,000 ang kabugusan niya nga bili. Pero subject for confirmation ini tanan sa aton sining otoridad.
Sige, may dugang pa Abian Eric?
Super mo na sa dilimadugay naton ang dugang payag sa kapulisan, background monitoring kag validation sa sunning subject classification niya area of operation abyan director rin sa barangay Q Abito Mandoriao abyan Eric kanya sa responsibilidad na may integridad at prinsipyo live radio.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Live news.
Abyan Army, may number kita sang San Remigio Police Station.
Live news.
Kay dito sa may San Remigio, bati naton ha.
Live news.
Samtang mabalik siguro ni ang hearing ni Tatay Diggs mga 9:30 pasang gabi. Oh. Kay bati naton, may ato dito nga suspect sa mga kinawatay diri sa probinsya sang Iloilo.
Live news.
Nga natiruhan sang aton nga mga pulis.
Live news.
Or matapos nga nagbato sila.
Live news.
O grabe, from Iloilo do nagtarataway ang kinawatay diri sa Iloilo. Naghalin sila dito sa may probinsya sang Antique, mga kabyanan.
Live news.
Kag kun sa diin,
Live news.
ining mga suspect, mga kabyanan,
Live news.
nga ini sila ang nga hospital subong kumatuod ni.
Live news.
Amo na confirm naton sa San Remigio Municipal Police Station sa sini nga mga tinion.
Live news.
Dapat nakainom na kamo dira sang Life Extension Vitamin D3, mga kabyanan.
Live news.
Mag-inom sang Life Extension Vitamin D3 kay nagapabasko gini sa inyo sini nga mga resistensya.
Live news.
Ginapalayo kita sa mga respiratory infection. Nagabulig man bato kontra cancer ang Life Extension Vitamin D3.
Live news.
Nagapahagan-hagan man sa mga premenstrual syndrome symptoms sa kababaynan kag subong man stress.
Live news.
Gani ang Life Extension Vitamin D3 amo ning doctor's most recommended #1 vitamin D3 brand diri sa Pilipinas kag abroad.
Live news.
Sa inyo sining pagbakal, pangitaon nyo lang gid permi may tatak nga ili. Kung wala sang tatak nga ili, peke ang inyong vitamin D3 brand nga nabakal, mga kabyanan. Life Extension Vitamin D3, the science of healthier life.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Live news.
Ara ng San Remigio Municipal Police Station, Abyan Army. Hindi gani, samtang ginawangan nga naton ang San Remigio Municipal Police Station. Balikan tabi sa Abyan Mikay, kung nakilala na ining natiruhan,
Live news.
dara sa may pabiya nga naga-bike-bike lang.
Live news.
Sa report ni Abyan Mike Istanyal sa interview sa kay Hepe, imagine, gintuyo pa tanay siya nga pasakyon sa salakyan sang sining mga suspect ngayon.
Live news.
Pero wala kag nabalahuba kawangdanan mga kabyanan nya ginbili na lang sang uli ining biktima nga ini sang pagpangtiro nga ni.
Live news.
Ano bala ang rason, ano bala ang investigasyon sang pulis naton diri mga kabyanan?
Live news.
Kay nagapangita pa sila sang CCTV.
Live news.
Do may police visibility man bala kita kag do ara man ang mga patrol cars naton tigaring basikon.
Live news.
Natabuan bala mga kabyanan nga wala sang patrol dira sa lugar.
Live
Pag may
news.
nagalakat-lakat nasundan ining suspect pinusdakan kag gintiro kundi ato subong sa ospital.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Live news.
Sino nga ara dira sa linya Ben Armidale ano na San Remigio? Sige, try ta nga laboton ang San Remigio Police Station.
Live news.
Kay ining mga series ang pagkinawatay. Grabe ni sila mo. Organisado na ni sila subong mga kabyanan kay nga aman.
Live news.
May dala na sila nga mga bolt cutter. May mga dala na sila nga mga equipment.
Live news.
Bit-bit sa ila sila nga bag karon. Kung hindi sila makapangawat diri sa isa ka lugar, para sabi karon diri sa may batang talag example
Live news.
dira sa may ungka pabiya. Kung may hindi sila makakamat, tabi example lang sa GT Mall.
Live news.
Mahali na sila sa may tupad ng eskwelahan dito. Kung ano makita dito sa may eskwelahan, amo man na pangkuhaon nila.
Live news.
Kag bisan kan, ding gani ginabira mo.
Live news.
Kung ano man magyan, bisan ano lang, basta may makawat lang sila sa isa ka lugar, kag maglakat naman amo ning ila sini nga modos.
Live news.
Karon may isa man ka babayi kuno allegedly nga nadakpan ang San Remigio Municipal Police Station. Ugaring ang kaso nila abi ini bailable mga kabyanan. Diba si pa man lang bala kung ining mga nadakpan dito kag na iguan ng pulis naton, sila man idi ang nagpangtira sa may syudad sang Iloilo. COP nila diya sa Iloilo, matao lang siya number. Sige, no, probs gid.
Serbisyong makataw, Responsable
Si
at totoo.
Samtang ko ay pang
Life
number sa
News.
ilang nga hepe Abian Armidel, tawagan tayo sa Abian Micaela Mendoza.
Life News.
Pero para tagaan tas ang break mga kabiyanan.
Life News.
Ang ining aton sining coverage kay ongoing patusubong mo. Ginbantayan ka ginpilit pasakay sa salakyan. Amo ni ang natabo diri sa sining biktima. Ara na naka-standby na sa linya si Abian Mikay Mendoza. Abian Mikay, kamusta da?
Abyan Ralph, nag-abot na diri ang shock mo para sa dugang nga investigasyon. So, dugang pagiti information nga ato nakuha diri sa area. So, kagina, hambal ko kay Abyan Aljun na gindala sa ospital ang ining biktima. So, amo pa na ang hindi kay Abyan Ralph sigurado kung gindala gid man ang ining biktima sa ospital kay based sa information naton diri, based man sa panaysayon sang gwardiya bala nga nakakita diri sa may Vita Rich area, siling ang ining pribado nga salakyan, ginasundan niya ang ining biktima nga naga-bisikleta kagil pasulod sa may ginasakyan nila. So, amo pa na ang gina-identify kung ano nga klase bala ka salakyan. Dito something mirage, hindi lang kita sigurado Abyan Ralph sa salakyan. Pero nakita sa gwardiya na din pasulod ang ining biktima kag nag-butane sila going to city. So, subong, amo pa na ang gina-investigaran sa kapulisan kag gina-backcheck bala ang CCTV dira sa may Vita Rich Abyan Ralph. It is because na amo lang na ang nakita naton diri nga may CCTV kay mismo diri sa area sa Tabok, medyo dulom siya kag wala po may makita bala nga CCTV Abyan Ralph.
Ano nga kasi ka backtrack na nga orasan? May magyapon ang backtrack Abian Mikay?
Yes, bali, amo pa na ang gina, sa ating kapulisan padayon nga gina-backchat nila at yan, Ralph. So, subong, amo pa lang na ang mahatag na nga dugang na information nga may posibilidad nga ginsakay, gidman, ang ining biktima kagindala sang suspect at yan, Ralph.
Ano man, ginsakay, gintuyo pa sakay, kagaway ng sakay, gintiro?
Yes, bakit? Ang information diri ginpamukot naton diri ang investigator for initial information in siling niya nga inpilit nga isasakay sa may salakyan tapos intiro pero sa information is nakasakay na napasakay gid man ang ining biktima. It is because na wala na sa diri si area kag posible upod man nila sa salakyan nga nag-U-turn sila going to city.
May dugo, Abian Mikay nga nakita?
Yes, diri mismo sa pader, Abyan Ralph.
Sa pader sa may bike niya nga na, oh?
Yes, correct.
So, botsing ganon, anong ang distansya sang bike sa dalan? Mga pilak dupa, pilak metros?
Oh, sa dalan, ang mga isa ko siguro sa dupa, Abyan Ralph.
Isa ka dupang dupa mong daan, tatlo ka dupa sa akon mo?
Grabe man. So, sige, mga si Abyan Ching.
Metros na lang, Abi. Kaya dugamay mo dupa sang sakon eh.
Abyan, wala na dupa. Ang bike sa dalan. Or meters, duwa? Oo, mga duwa ka dupa, Abyan Ralph.
Kay sino nga dupa na kay Abian Armidel o kunakon?
Ha?
Kay sino na nga dupa ay Abian Armidel o rakon?
Duwa ka dupa sila ko. Pero kung meters ay
Abian Mikay?
2 meters, Abyan Ralph.
Mga 2 meters. Okay, gamay gawa imo nga dupa eh. 1 meter, mga tsaktogin na.
Oo, hindi na kita magamit sang dupa.
Mga 2 meters ang distansya sang bike sa dalan. Tapos gini bike nagasandig. May alagyan pa na Abian Mikay, di ba nga footwalk?
Yes, oo.
Tapos may tanom tapos dalan.
Oo, dira mismo naglabay ang bike.
Kung ginpwersa nila nga ginpasakay, kani ang bike diri sa may kilid dalan eh.
Hindi sa pader gud siya.
Mo gani na. Tiya lang alang ang salakyan magito sa footwalk.
Bali, garo, sinabi yan, Ralph. Sasakay sila sa salakyan nila. Diri mismo sila sa may sa may kalsada, galabay, tapos ang bike sa footwalk.
Amo ni gani ang bike naga-bike dara sa may dalan. Tapos naglabay ang salakyan. Tapos gimbotong gulpi ang biktima, kagintiro damo na.
Oo, posible kagin pasakay sa salakyan nila.
Okay, ti ang mga bulak nga may mga nagbali da nga puno kung ibotong iban siya?
Yes, correct.
Damo bali nga puno sang bulak?
Damo, abyan Ralph, damo.
Okay. Tiyang dugo, damo man.
Hindi man gid siya damo, abyan Ralph. Bali sa pader lang ini siya.
Sa pader lang gid wala sang dugo sa gintindugan niya ko, no?
Wala kita may nakita man diri abyan Ralph sa dugo mismo sa gintindugan. Bali sa pader lang gid may nakita kita nga dugo.
Karon sang ginkuha ining lawas niya based sa nakita sang gwardiya, gahulag pa o kun wala?
Ang pa nang hindi kita sigurado abyan Ralph kung gahulag pa kay limited lang aton sini nga information.
Pero
pa.
anong nagkuha di ba ambulansya?
Amo naman ang hindi kita sure abyan Ralph kay based sa pag-interview naton sa investigador di pagpamangkot naton sa investigador kagina na based sa nakita sang gwardiya ginsulod it ining
Pero anong nagdala sa
biktima.
ospital ining biktima? Anong nagdala sa biktima sa ospital aw?
Again?
Anong nagdala sa biktima sa ospital? Ambulansya o kon punerarya?
Abyan Ralph, regarding sa nagdala sa ospital, hindi pa sigurado kung gindalagit man siya sa ospital kay subong wala pa sila information kung sa diin na ospital.
Diba sige dala sang suspekto nga ng tiro? Ano man?
Yes. Amo man na abyan Ralph ang based diri sa investigador, kumbaga hindi niya man ma-confirm kung ginditbit gid man sang mga suspect ang ining biktima.
Pero kay
Or ang
nasa una
suspect.
mo nga report, gin-mention mo nga gindala sang ambulansya sa ospital.
Oo, correct. Oo, so amo na ang ginat-clarify naton subong Abyan Ralph.
Ang ginaklaro
amo
naton
na ang
subong,
naton nga info.
either sa ospital o kung ato gindala sa mga suspect ining biktima.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Tiyang,
correct, Abyan
ang
Ralph.
investigador na-interview nyo.
Sige pa mga kato nato tre.
Okay, may mga malapit man ang ospital di most probably dira na sa dalon sa may ospital diri sa may Tagbak.
Investigation lang, sir.
Or Ungka.
Oo, so gindalagit man ang ining victim sa ospital, sir?
Base sa atong nga kuha ka CCTV kag sa witness ito nga gwardiya, nakita nga ginkarga siya sa maron nga sedan, either Ertiga po siya or Mirad. Hindi lang kita sure kung ano nga klase ka sedan to. Basta maron.
Oo. So may possibility, sir, nga gindiktit ini siya wala sa ospital gindala? Amo na?
Ate, amo nang da-coordinate kita sa hospital, ma'am, kung bati may gindala dito nga victim of shooting incident. Pero so far, wala kami sang information sa baton, ma'am.
Ano ganito ang pangalan, sir?
Luther, ma'am.
Luther Maderse.
L-U-T-H-E-R.
Abyan Ralph?
Si Sir Luther Maderse.
Oh, yes.
Ti ang ano nga ospital igiging pa-check nila Abyan Mikay makotabi si Sir Luther.
Ano nga hospital, sir, ang
Why? Ang nagtawag ako to sa amon nga hotline. Ang first nga kwan ang doon dinito kag Western. Pero why pa man kakita.
So waiting pala.
Waiting.
So dire sa may Asia
Wala
Pacific
man,
wala ano malapit-lapit gawa?
Yes, ayun ako sa
Sa direct area, sir, wala may lapit na hospital dire.
Di sa Pabia, wala naman kaya nagtara naman ang atong secret sa may balabag no? Nagsarado na siya.
Asia Pacific Abyan Mikay sarado aw.
Pero ang
Asia Pacific, sir.
why kami to ka kwan sa Asia Pacific, ma'am, pero advice ko na to amon operator sa cellphone sa amon na plan dito nga ma-coordinate sa mga bilog ng hospital.
Oh, lapit man da sa may kwan, sa may Santa Barbara Sanitarium.
Paluat man.
About sir na check man sa Santa Barbara Sanitarium, sir.
Why pa kami dito ka coordinate kaya ang ihabing ruta, ma'am, nagbalik siya sa city.
Sa city.
So, sabagay, dito naman ko ang amon nga ipiman, coordinate sa hospital. Sa tanan ng mga hospital.
Super, sir, amo pa lang na ang mga information natin nga natipon.
Amo pa lang siya, ma'am.
Oo, about sir sa CCTV, bet?
Ang base sa CCTV, mo lang itong balik ko, ang balti mo nga, muna ginasundan siya sang maron nga sidan, alin siya sa Pabia, going to the pag-abukiringin, kung ginadvance siya gamay, kag nanaog ang duha ka tao sa sidan, kag ginadvance siya.
Ginkuha.
Either nga ginkuha siya. Dahil pinaglupok nga nagatian ng gwardiya, kadayon sa libatian sila nga busis ang lalaki sa pangayo, tabang.
So, bali sa'yo, mas nauna ang lupok before siya ginkuha? Ito mo na, or una nga ginkuha before ang lupok? Ano man?
Ang ulay nagyaging kuha, ang nagatinggit na sa tabang.
Amo na ang pagkuha sa
Oo, pagkarga sa yatang salakyan. So, tapos ng lupok.
Pinakalupok, sir.
Kasi ang gwardiya sa isam lang, so parisan mo.
Kubali si dira ka mo daw, saksan ko sa may...
Sa mga kampanya natin.
Kung pinipisi area, bala ang ganyan parang, wala di available na CCTV.
So far, ginagin check na mo wala. Amo lang ginang available sa tubang, kagaya ka banwa. Sigin backtrack na mga mo ng banwa, kagaya ka KTKM na request mo ng banwa.
Sige, again, Ralph, basta may dugo sa question?
So far, Abian Mikay, amo na lang na. Salamat, Gida.
Okay. Gikan diri sa may Pavia, kaupod si Aden James Cooper, ini si Aden Kay Mendoza para sa balita na may integridad at prinsipyo. Live Radio.
Serbisyong makataw. Responsable at totoo. Life News.
Wala pa mga kabyanan. Natingala kita, Abian Armidil bala.
Life News.
Sa kay isang investigador to sang Pavia, ginuna pa yagin lang taw ang Western, kagang Don Benito Hospital.
Life News.
Ang Don Benito mo ning West Visayas State University. Dito siya sa ang hospital nga ni ato dito sa Kwan, ato dito sa may Lapas. Ang isa diri sa may Mandurriao. Kiway nila gin-check anay dira sa may Metro Pacific Hospital basi dira ka magginbilin kay malapit da. Oh, di ba? Oh. Di garing ari naman kuno si Hippie, si Captain Prisquito na nagabulig man panawag sa mga ospital, mga kabyanan. Kon bala diin ining biktima o kon ining gintiro nga nagabike dira sa may Kabugaw Sur, Santa Barbara, Pavia, Iloilo, mga kabyanan. Makabalik kita sa dili gila madugay mga kabyanan sa pila pagig-update kag sa hearing, sa confirmation na hearing ni Tatay Diggs dito sa may Dahig, Netherlands. Abian Army, kag sa mga tagpalamantin naton palig standby.
DYRPGS 17 AM. Para sa balita na may integridad at prinsipyo. Live Radio Iloilo.
Ang FF Cruise Shipping Corporation nagapadayon sa ila pagserbisyo sa mga pasahero na gusto magpadulong sa Negros Island via Ahoy, Iloilo pakadto sa EB Magalona and vice versa. Ang mga temporary schedules of FF Cruise roll-on roll-off trips halin Lunes tub-tub Domingo sang kada semana amo ang mga masunod. Ahoy, Iloilo to EB Magalona, Negros Occidental alas 5 sa aga, alas 9 sa aga, ala 1 sa hapon kag alas 5 sa hapon. EB Magalona, Negros Occidental to Ahoy, Iloilo alas 7 sa aga, alas 11 sa aga, alas 3 sa hapon kag alas 7 sa gabi. Ang amon mga Roro vessels, officers and crews komitido sa pagpangalagad sa inyo 24/7 para sa memorable, comfortable kag safe na pagbiyahe. FF Cruise Shipping Corporation.
Maputi, malumok, kag mapino nga panit. Amo bala ini ang imo mga handog? White Tomato Capsule by Dr. Frey ang imo kinahanglanon. Mayara ini sang white tomato extract nga puno sang phytoin kag phytofluin nga lunsay potent and powerful antioxidant compounds. May reduced na porma sang glutathione nga madasig maabsorb sang aton nga selula. Ang White Tomato Capsule by Dr. Frey effective sa pagbuhin sang dark spots, acne scars, freckles, melasma kag iban pa nga mga problema sa panit. Mag-inom sang White Tomato Capsule by Dr. Frey 1 to 2 capsules kada adlaw kag makita ang epekto pagkatapos ang 2-3 ka bulan nga pag-inom. White Tomato Capsule by Dr. Frey 100% nga himo sa Switzerland sang Swiss Energy Pharma. Mabakal sa mga pharmacies kag sa mga life extension integrative medical clinics and pharmacies.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories.
From powerful interviews to trending topics.
DYRP Live Radio Iloilo has it all.
And we are just getting started.
Tune in to Live Radio Iloilo programs.
From Monday to Saturday, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. in Bukada sa Aga.
6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Live News Morning Edition.
7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Punto por punto. Just 17.
9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Life Extension Program.
10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Viral, real or scripted.
11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Live Radio Regional News.
11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Iloilo in Focus.
1 p.m. to 3 p.m. That's live.
3 p.m. to 3:05 p.m. Live News Break.
3:05 p.m. to 4 p.m. Presinto Just 17.
4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Barangay Just 17.
5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Live News Afternoon Edition.
6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Crossfire.
8 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. 10:17 Evening Patrol.
9:45 p.m. to 10 p.m. Live Rosary. Para sa balita na may integridad
at prinsipyo,
Live Radio.
Abyan, nagakusog ang aton immune system kung healthy ang digestion kag tinlong aton colon. Ang maayo nga balita, may aras ang super fiber, the fast-acting colon cleansing product approved by FDA Philippines. Sigurado epektibo. 2 to 8 hours after mainom ang super fiber, epektibo. Mapagwa na ang mga higko nga hindi dapat magtiner sa lawas. Para sa mas maayong nga resulta, imnon ang super fiber 15 minutes before breakfast o kung bago matulog. Kag Life Extension Vitamin D3 pagkatapos magkaon. Para sa healthy and good digestion, mag-inom adlaw-adlaw sang super fiber. Mabakal sa mga butika. Pomety Capsule. Pomety. Kag subong aton pamatian ang testimonya ni Dr. Denfield Genzon. May problema sa prostate. Bangod sa paggamit niya sang Pomety Capsule, produkto sang Life Extension Philippines. Iya na pamatud-an ang milagroso nga epekto batok sa iya ginabatsyag. Aton siya pamatian.
I'm Dr. Denfield P. Genzon. I'm into family medicine, pero member man ako sang Philippine College of Occupational Medicine kag Philippine Society of Venereologists. I graduated from the University of Santo Tomas. My specialty is PAMED, PCOM, and PSVI. Manami ginayang ang pomitir na makabuligid sa pagpangihi ko yan. So more or less to help me kay ginambalan ako man sa isa ka doktor ka. Kung hindi kayo mo mag-increase ang imong medication, basi catheter ka. I am wary of the side effects nga doktor ako, imagine may Foley catheter ako. So, I am taking the Pomety gidya. Ang Pomety, sige-sige na since July 22, up to the present, inombi ko sa Pomety. Tanan-tanan nga tao na basin lalaki o babae, pwede na mag-Pomety. Ginambal ko na yung benefits ng Pomety, tanan nga anti-aging, anti-cancer, sa cholesterol naton, sa anti-obesity, anti-diabetic na siya. Well, with regards to Pomety, the medication is supposed to be taken twice a day. But I just take it once a day. It helped me for more than a year. From 14, it went down to below. Because with prostate, usually there are three things: the enlargement of the prostate, the BPH, and cancer of the prostate. So with cancer of the prostate, we usually do a digital rectal examination, then the ultrasound, and PSA. If the PSA is high, the patient has the possibility of having a cancer. But mine was only 31, so I won't say that it's already cancer. But it's still above the normal because the normal is up to 4. This kahapigid ako nga I have tried taking Pomety gidya because it really helped me from 31, imagine, to below 2 nanograms. So, manami gina, sige-sige gina ang pag-inom ko sa Pomety gina.
Tandaan, Pomety, the anti-cancer polyphenol and the super antioxidant capsule, highly recommended sa aton mga licensed medical doctors sa tanan nga mga life extension medical clinics and pharmacies. Mabakal sa mga butika. Pomety Capsule. Pomety. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Good day sa tanan. Umpisahi ang adlaw sa pag-inom sa Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Nagbalik na ang paborito nyo kakape nga may vitamin D3, reishi mushroom kag mangosteen fruit extract. Manamit, makamot kag healthy nga kape. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Mabakal sa mga butika.
Life Extension Vitamin D3.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Smith. I'm a medical doctor and senior health scientist of the Life Extension Foundation, USA. Many studies have shown that optimized vitamin D level may slash our risk of cancer development. I personally recommend a daily supplementation of Life Extension vitamin D3 for everybody. This is the most practical and wise way to protect our health from diseases like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and a lot of other health conditions.
Life Extension Vitamin D3, the #1 trusted brand of vitamin D3 by the medical doctors in the Philippines. Life Extension Vitamin D3, the science of a healthier life.
Kadamo sa mga produkto sa merkado nga puro pasalig nga makahatag sang alibyo sa aton ikayong lawas. Subong, aton ginapakilala ang Pommy Tea. Ini scientifically validated kag clinically proven nga produkto sa mga laboratory tests sa Europa nga nagpakita sang babaskog nga ebidensya sa proteksyon sang aton lawas batok sa mga balatian. Pommy Tea, rekomendado for men and women 16 years old and above kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics. Tandaan, Pommy Tea Capsule, di kalidad nga produkto sa Confluence Health and Wellness Products nga exclusive distributors ang Life Extension Vitamin D3. Pommy Tea Capsule, Super Fiber.
Ako gali si Junie, taga Arevalo, Iloilo City. Pirmi nagasakit ang akong nga tiyan. Halos daw hindi ako makatindog. 3-4 kadlaw nga hindi ako makapamuhin. Nakapamati ako sa radyo, kundiin nga nakabalo ako nga may super fiber. Isa pa lang kasashay ang akon nga nainom. Nakapamuhin gid ako. Naghaw-as ang akon nga tiyan. Salamat gid sa super fiber.
Super Fibers ang Life Extension Philippines. Babakal sa mga butika. Mangosteen Fruit Extract, Reishi Mushroom Extract, kag Vitamin D3. Ini ang 3 ka mga importante nga ingrediente nga dapat ara sa inyo nga ginainom nga kape. Dili ka na sa manamit kag healthy nga Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Babakal sa mga butika. Life Extension Vitamin D3. Si Ma'am Editha Delamide.
Sa una, tanayam, sige gidya, tanagwa sa nga dugo sa nipple. Nan ko lang na sa Life Extension D3. Proven ko gidira ako nag-ayo.
Life Extension Vitamin D3 for longer life. Kadamo sa mga produkto sa merkado nga puro pasalig nga makahatag sang alibyo sa aton ikayong lawas. Aton ginapakilala ang Pommy Tea. Ini scientifically validated kag clinically proven nga produkto sa mga laboratory tests sa Europa nga nagpakita sang babaskog nga ebidensya sa proteksyon sang aton lawas batok sa mga balatian. Pommy Tea kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics. Tandaan, Pommy Tea Capsule. Pommy Tea Capsule. Pommy Tea. Mayong adlaw sa tanan, welcome sa atong programa nga ginadulong sa Confluence Health and Wellness Products, ang exclusive distributors ang Life Extension Vitamin D3 sa Pilipinas. Subong may ara kita nga gina-recommend nga product nga clinically proven kag scientifically validated nga supplement amo ang Pommy Tea, the anti-cancer polyphenol and the super antioxidant capsule. Sa inyong mga palamangkutanon, mag-text lang sa 0917-318-1720. Subong, aton pamatian si Sir Jonathan Granada.
Aton gid ginapakilala ining Pommy Tea Capsule, the anti-cancer polyphenol. Ini na siguro ang matutuod gid nga pwede naton matawag nga super antioxidant kay ang ingredients sang aton nga Pommy Tea Capsule gingamitan naton sang 4 ka whole food sources nga nagalin sa pomegranate fruit, curcumin, green tea kag broccoli. Kag ining active ingredients amo ini siya ang nagpakita sang may pinakamataas nga anti-cancer properties based sa clinical research. Ang Pommy Tea ang ginhimo sang grupo sa mga medical doctors, scientists kag nutritionists sa UK. Makabyanan ining ginkuha nila sa green tea nga active ingredient amo ang EGCG or ining epigallocatechin galley, kag sa pomegranate ellagic acid ang ilang ginkuha, sa curcumin ining capsaicin, kag sa broccoli amo lang gid ang indole tricarbinol kag ining sulforaphane nga may mataas nga anti-cancer properties. Ang Pommy Tea makabyanan ang ginag-backupan sang 3 ka mga medical nga pagtulunan, randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial, kag base sa 3 sini ka pagtulunan nagapakita nga may mabaskog ini nga protection sa cancer disease, especially sa prostate cancer. Ang Pommy Tea makabyanan gina-recommend sang American Society of Clinical Oncology, recommended man sa mga oncologist, especially ining si Professor Robert Thomas, isa sa mga grupo sa medical doctors nga nag-formulate sang Pommy Tea. This is recommended for 16 years old and above, and ang dosage sini makabyanan is 2 capsules a day, especially sa cancer diseases, particularly ining prostate cancer. Kay diri nagapakita sang mabaskugin nga ebidensya prostate and breast cancer ang aton nga Pommy Tea product.
Tandaan, Pommy Tea, the anti-cancer polyphenol and the super antioxidant capsule, highly recommended sa aton mga licensed medical doctors sa tanan nga mga Life Extension Medical Clinics and Pharmacies. Mabakal sa mga butika. Pommy Tea Capsule. Pommy Tea. Nagbalik na ang pinakauna kag paborito paborito nyo nga kape nga may vitamin D3, reishi mushroom kag mangosteen fruit extract. Subong Vita D Plus Coffee Mix na. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Perfect combination sa tatlo ka makagagahom kag natural nga mga ingrediente para sa ikayong lawas mo. Aprobado sang FDA. Ugalion magkape sang Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. May kape ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Mabakal na sa mga butika. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Mas ma-enjoy mong pag-inom sa kape paghamot manamit kag syempre may vitamin D3. Pwede sa may mga diabetes. Para sa akon, pinaka-healthy nga kape. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Mabakal sa mga butika. Mga kabyanan, regular man ba lang bowel movement nyo? Basi kadamo sa ginakaon nyo pero pila nakadlaw, wala ka muna kapamuhin. Amuin ang delikado kung hindi mapagwang higko, posible nga ma-poison ka. Ang maayo nga balita, may super fiber, the fast-acting colon cleansing product aprobado sa FDA. In just 2 to 8 hours, mapagwa na ang mga higko nga hindi dapat magtinir sa lawas. Mas mangin man namin pagid ang epekto sa super fiber kung i-combine sa pag-inom sini sa Life Extension Vitamin D3. Mag-inom daw adlaw sang super fiber. Mabakal sa mga butika. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Kabalo ba na kamo nga ang Vita D Plus Coffee Mix ang nagabalik na pinakauna nga kape nga may vitamin D3 with wide-ranging benefits? Ginsamuan pagid sang reishi mushroom, ang mushroom of immortality, kag mangosteen fruit extract para sa ikayong lawas. Ang Vita D Plus Coffee Mix hindi lang basta kape. Saboroso kag may alibyo sa lawas mo. For me, the healthiest coffee. May kape ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix fortified with vitamin D3. Life Extension Vitamin D3. Kagsubong aton pamatian si Ma'am Editha Delamide.
Kamusta na imo ma'am subong medical condition?
Okay na lang breast ko. Ati ko katori di napasuno mo ko napa-ultrasound. Wa abla nga dugo sa nipple. Sa kaluoy kag Ginoo, nag-okay na. Nan ko lang na sang
Pomity. Yes, pomity.
Tagura ko na pag ginadura ang anak ang life extension ang D3. Nay kay sang una tanayam sa anong painom kang mga vitamins, mga kun ano, bulong mga ibang mga herbal. O ay gidya sige gidya tanagwa sang dugo sa nipple.
Pero subong sang nag-life extension ka, wala na gidya nagagwa.
O ay na.
Sino gani liwat ngalan ta ma'am?
Mrs. Editha Delamide. 65 na ako. Di try mo man ang life extension kay proven ko gidya mo nga dira ako nag-ayo.
Life Extension Vitamin D3 for longer life. Kadamo sa mga produkto sa merkado nga puro pasalig nga makahatag sang alibyo sa aton ikayong lawas. Subong, aton ginapakilala ang Pomity. Ini scientifically validated kag clinically proven nga produkto sa mga laboratory tests sa Europa nga nagpakita sang babaskog nga ebidensya sa proteksyon sang aton lawas batok sa mga balatian. Pomity, rekomendado for men and women 16 years old and above kag highly recommended sa mga medical doctors ang Life Extension Medical Clinics. Tandaan, Pomity Capsule. Di kalidad nga produkto sa Confluence Health and Wellness Products nga exclusive distributors ang Life Extension Vitamin D3. Pomity Capsule. Vita D Plus Coffee Mix.
I would recommend my favorite coffee, Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. So may kape ka na, may vitamin D3 ka pa. May reishi mushroom extract kag may mangosteen fruit extract. Kung imoy combine ini nga tatlo, may ara ini siya synergistic na benepisyo para sa aton nga ikaayong lawas. Is Dr. Marpa kag satanan mayong adlaw.
Vita D Plus Coffee Mix. Problema mo ba lang magpaniwang pero hindi ma-achieve? Mag-Super Fiber, the fast-acting colon cleansing product. FDA approved. Sigurado nga epektibo. So kung problema mo pag-lose weight, lipyuhian na yung colon mo. Ang Super Fiber nagabulig to achieve the healthy weight o kung ang balanse nga timba. Para sa mas maayo ka resulta, i-combine ang pag-inom sa Life Extension Vitamin D3 kag Super Fiber. Para sa healthy and good digestion, mag-inom adlaw-adlaw sang Super Fiber, mabakal sa mga butika.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo, life news.
Oras sa DYRP Live Radio Iloilo, last maybe Jess mga kabyanan, balik na dari sa ato sini nga pagpangalagat sa DYRP Live Radio Iloilo mga abyan. Ari nang update ang gintiro kaging pasakay sa salakyan sa Pabia, isa ka anay kagawad kuno abyan mikay nga may record sa illegal nga droga sa police. Kag ini nga anay kagawad is ano ni?
Life news.
Diin ini siya nga kagawad, amo nang ibaloon naton kun diin nga kagawad ining gintiro kagin na pasakay dira sa salakyan sa may Kabugaw Sur Pavia.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life News.
Tawag gini si Abian Mikay, Abian Armidel, kuwaon na ni una. Unahon ta sa Abian Mikay. Samtang dugay-dugay pabati nato ng interview nato kay Mayor Stephen Palmares. Party sa Webra dira sa Pasig sa March 17 hasta sa 23 mga kaabyanan. Mayo katersang kandado kabana, yaw-yaw ko lang kalugas, kapitan kalawigan kandado kabana kang kabansangan pamilya sa may bangka idka Dios sa Leon, Iloilo kag subong man na payaw-yaw sa mga kampulyo, kanabuan, kapilitan na kapulot, kablas family sa sitio Pagas, Leon. Mami isok sa Aligarbe Sobrevega, ginayaw-yaw ko lang si Lily Abad nga nagalantaw kag nagapamati subong. Angeli A. Dalde, mayong gabigid. Naga-join man sa kay Madam Gemma Sibalius Moneva, Michael Mendoza. Way subong kanta si Abian Mikay. Angkor D, istorya sa Amnesia College of Computer Sciences. Bang grabing swimming imo second day plus 1 ka pa sa 25 matyagan mo mga ginikanan ginapamunit kwarta ba o dini College of Computer and Sciences. Ma'am Fele Boro Loyola, Ma'am Fe Kepada naga lantaw mana diri sa to sa kay Nene Joy mayong gabi man. Abian Army ara sa Abian Mikay.
Life News.
Try taman tani nga ipabati karon ang ato sining interview sa Bureau of Fire Protection.
Life News.
Mga kaabyanan, sa kay Fire Senior Superintendent Bartolome Biliran.
Life News.
Sang Provincial Fire Marshal. Sa plano niya, mga kaabyanan, sa taga Bureau of Fire Protection. Kay ti kung isa nagakasyak ni kuno sila sa interview, kumbaga kung diretsohon na lang ang iban nga mga fire marshal buki kuno sa media interview, do mo na abala mga kabyanan ang na-point out.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo.
Balaan mo kay giniban nga mga fire marshal kagi sa media interview. Da mo na bala ang mga term. Kaya tila tawa to bala si FO2 ano to ganing apelyido niya ang Deputy Fire Marshal sang Pareño. John Kenneth Pareño sang Bingawan Fire Station. Ato ya makabig to yang buki pa sa media interview mo. Why first time ni karon nga kagi interview mo to nga dayon niya gidwaras.
Life News.
Daw muna bala isa siya sa mga gina-consider nga way kagi media interview pero karon istoryan ta na dugang. Abian Mikay dini nga kagawad sa barangay.
Abian Ralph?
Nakilala na?
Ang biktima, wala pa nila ma-confirm, Abian Ralph, kung sino ang ining biktima.
Pero may mga nagguwa na din nga istorya nga daw kagawad sa kuno sa barangay?
Based mo kagina sa pagpamangkot natin sa mga barangay officials dito kagina sa area, suno sa ilang taga-dira sa area ang ining biktima pero hindi pa sila confirm kung amugid man bala Abian Ralph ang inang biktima ang tag-iya sang bike. Kaya kagina sa information ko may nagdagto dito nga utod sang ining biktima para kumpirmahon bala ang bike nga ginsakyan.
Okay.
Pero when it comes sa person, amo pa na ang i-confirm Abian Ralph kung siya gid man.
Sa ginpalabot dire kay Abian Armidel, ang ini siya nga pangalan Mark Alarcon. Kag former kagawad dira sa may Kabugaw Sur Pavia. Di wala na da mga barangay officials or malayo kamo da sa may barangay hall?
Yes, Abian Ralph, sa area wala na dito, naka-pull out naman sila sa area. So kagina pagkato natin dito nakasulilanon kita sa mga barangay officials pero hindi man nila ma-confirm pa. Kung siya gidman.
Kung si Mark Alarcon gid ba na to?
Correct. Oo, kung siya gidman. Hindi pa ma-confirm.
Pero ang nagkuha sang bike, utod ni Mark Alarcon.
Ang nag-confirm sang bike, yes, ang utod sang biktima.
Di nga ang hindi ba confirm sang barangay nga nagkuha utod na sang biktima?
Amo man na ang hindi nato maintindihan at yan Ralph. Kaya basi bala magsanak sila. Magsala sila sa information na ila sini nga ihatag. So, hindi pa danay nila i-confirm.
Tiging kuha na nga isang utod sa tagiya sang bike, hindi pa sila mag-confirm?
Hindi, like, hindi man bala din kuha ang bike. Kumbaga, din confirm lang sang utod nga sa
Kada
amo
kaya.
na ang kaniya sang bike.
Kada kaya. Ginapapos o ginapabudlayan mo ah. Ari abiyan mi kayo. Nagambal, siyempre utod. Ari abiyan Maria Ros, base ari gusto mo ikot kutsara ko de. Ari abiyan mi kayo. Ang nagkuha sang bike, nagambal nga kay Mark Alarcon ini nga bike, di ba?
Oo.
Oo. Kag ining nagkuha sang bike taga barangay Kabugaw Sur, di ba?
Oo, kay taga dira ang biktima.
Tinga ang
Based
hindi
sa
pa magkumpirma ang mga
information.
barangay officials nga tag-iya sang bike amo na si Mark Alarcon now.
Hindi man nila pala abyan Ralph nga gindirect kay ginhambal nga siya gid man kumbaga confirmation pa kuno kung siya gid man ang nakasakay sa bike nga ina.
Galibog man ulo to.
Isa na kuman kalipog man ulo.
Ginkuha na gani sang utod kay hambal niya. Muniti why hindi pinamangkot? Why nilagyan pamangkot ang utod sa mga barangay official o kun pulis? Kun siya gid to ka kun diin siya gindala?
Wala man abyan Ralph, oo. Kay ang sa information naton kay nga una nga info is gindala sa ospital, di ba?
Oo.
Amo na ginambal ko nga gindala sa ospital. Pero pag follow up naton sa investigator, based sa iya hindi sigurado kung gindala gid man sa ospital kay base sa gwardiya nga nakakita ginsakay sa salakyan.
Tapos
So amo na nga ang salakyan is going sa city. Nag-U-turn pa going sa city.
okay. Tiyan mo na nga why pasubong makilala, why panabalaan kung si Alarcon gimanto si Mark o kung hindi. Kasi
Yes,
man niya tawo, daw mo na ang
oo.
puntos ang barangay officials.
Somehow abyan Ralph kaya mo man na ang pag-intindi ko.
Pero si Mark Alarcon, makita nila nga nagagamit sang bike nga ni kung wala.
Hindi lang kita sigurado regarding
Siguraduhan mo
Abyan
gid
Ralph.
kay. Munang report mo Abian Mikay sa sa mga barangay officials da. Kay karon, di ba kuha tong bike sang utod, nagambal nga si Mark Alarcon tagiya sang bike, di ba? Kung taga barangay ka, makita mo na permi nga naga-bike si Mark Alarcon, di ba? Kay kung puro man lang ta karon, hindi pa mabalaan, hindi makumpirma, wa ta pakadtuan na karon Abian kay. Amo na ang mga dapat nga i-confirm ni mo dira sa mga barangay officials nga mga pamangkot. Ngayti, ang bike ara kay Mark. Okay. Karon, nakita bala ninyo nang ambal si Mark nga iyan isang utod niya. Okay. I-counter check mo to sa barangay officials, makita nyo man bala nga nagagamit sini si Mark sang nagliligad ng mga inadlaw. Mga ambal ka ambal na, oo nakita namon. Mga tanong doon nakita namon. Mangkuton liwat ang utod. Kay ti nagagamit sang bike sino karon ang posible nga ginalantaw nimo nga nagtira o kung sino pwede posible nga nagkuha diri siya may naistorya bala si mong utod kay na confirm nga siya nagasakay permi sa sining bike o kon base bala nga ginhula man ang bike sang subong naman niya gabi kag moto nga lain ang gin target kag lain man ang naigo Abian Mikay mga muna bala kay nga mga posibilidad pero kon puro na lang kita wala kita i-confirm pa at iway napakadtuan kay Life News. Okay kay?
Oo.
Namo ng mga sunod na nga mga update Life News. Mga discartiers bala nga mga galawan bala kayo. Salamat gyud Abian Mikay.
Gikan sa patrol ini si Abian Mikay Mendoza para sa balita na may integridad at prinsipyo, Life Radio.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life News.
Ipabati naton mga kabyanan si Mayor Stephen Palmares sang aton sining nga interview regarding sa palaro Webra nga hiwaton dira sa syudad sang Pasig sa March 17 up to 23 mga kabyanan.
Mayor, makita ta subungan dira-dira gid ang obra sang stadium para sa Webra nga i-host niyo diri sa March 17, 2026. Tama Ralph, do karon full swing kita ka obra hindi lang diya sa Pasig City Sports Complex kundi sa bilog nga syudad ka Pasig, most especially aton nga mga billeting quarters, playing venues kag pinaka highlight sa tanan ya aton nga Pasig City Sports Complex kung saan diin makita nimo nga dukaron nagaumpisa kita kapag Rubby Rice kaaton nga sports oval. Although nga nagliligad nga semana, why kita naka-full swing ka obra tungod man ka tiyempo, pero ako gina-committer naton nga makatao kita ka isa sa pinakanami nga hosting ka Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet. Kung sa diin nga dukaron nga tuig, Ralph, Wibra Amit, isa daya ka istorya kag marantas. Hindi lang sa siyudad ka Pasig, kundi sa bilog na rehiyon. Tungod nga una-una, daya nga Wibra usually from province daya, inter-province no, sa bilog na rehiyon size. Pero this year, 2026, pinakauna daya nga division base o kon schools division base. So, botang balon nga siyudad ka Pasig mismo, isa ka contingent o kung isa ka delegation para sa Wibra together with Rojas City, Iloilo City, Iloilo Province, Capiz, Guimaras, Aklan, Antique. So, 8 kita ka competing delegations for this 2026 Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet. Ikadua, istorya man daya tungod pinakauna daya nga Wibra meet nga iga-host hindi probinsya kundi isa ka local government unit. Kag ako nagpasalamat gid sa aton pinalangga nga gobernador kay Gov Toto Defensor nga paghinyo ko kana nga kung pwede matawan ka tsansa yung siyudad ka Pasig na mag-host ka Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet. Insigida nag-aprobar gid siya himaw man ka aton pinalangga nga congressman si Congressman Fprrd ka 4th distrito. Kag ikatatlo Ralph, no, maragtason dayang Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet giniwat outside sa Iloilo Sports Complex. So ako nalipay lang yung tinutuyo naton kanadi hindi lang gid Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet kundi nga pagtapos ka event Ralph, may mga pasilidades doon yung siyudad ka Pasig na ready nga mag-host hindi lang ka Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet, kundi ang mga national sporting events pagid sa masunod nga mga tinuig. Kaya ako nalipay nga sa paraabuton nga Abril 20 hasta 27 or Abril 27 hasta 30 gali. Adiya doon pagahiwaton yung Regional Association of Local Colleges in Region 6 and Region 18. Diya pagahiwaton sa siyudad ka Pasig. Tungod naman ananda nga may Rubby Rice Oval doon kita. Region 6 comprising of the provinces of Aklan, Capiz, Antique, Guimaras, and Iloilo. Kag Region 18 comprising the Negros Island region, Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, kag Siquijor. So with this kabaring kitang host tulad nga tuig, makatao kita ka isa sa hindi malipatan ng Western Visayas Regional Athletic Association meet. Okay. Mayor, sa sining pag-ubra subong sang Rubby Rice Oval, mga sano gid matapos?
Well, yakon lang ako committer basta pag umpisa ka March 17, pag opening program, pagatapakan ka aton yung mga athletes Rubby Rice Oval Ralph, kag pagadalaganan nanda.
Okay. Kundi subong amuning ginaobra. Kamusta naman aton mga biliting mayors?
Well, do karon may dyan kita nga mga biliting areas nga tapos doon. Doon lang kita, naga-polish. May dyan man nga mga ongoing because as of now, may quick taste pa man kita. Kag ako kumpiyansa nga bisan paano matapos naton yung mga dapat naton talapuson. Kung may mga kulang-kulang man, we must understand nga yung siyudad ka Pasig nag-umpisa sa puno kapag establishar ka sports complex, kapag establishar ka mga biliting areas, kag pag-establishar ka mga playing venues diya sa siyudad ka Pasig. Kag siyempre, yung ginapabugal na nga isa ka manaming ka venue, yung City of Pasig Arena, kundi pagampangon, yung basketball, yung volleyball, yung dance sport, kag yung championship o yung finals ka aton nga boxing.
Okay. Pwede ang swimming sa Iloilo City, Mayor. Ang football sa Maruta. So, tanan yung mga hampang, hindi rin tanan sa Pasig.
Yes, no, yung tanan yung hampang, diya paghampangon sa siyudad ka Pasig. Kag nagapasalamat din ako sa Iloilo City, more particularly man kay Governor Defensor kag kay Mayor Treñas nga isa man daya sa ginambal ko antes mag-host ka Wibra, kaging klaro ko
na why kami swimming. Nagpasugot man niya dito dahil sa ibang gani nga mga events man, sa mga national sporting events, ginarapta-rapta man ang daya venue. Kag considering man nga Yabarota, football capital kaaton nga pungsod ay napamaan sanda sa pag-coordinar ko man kay Congressman Fprrd kag kay Mayor BP Beron. So, gapasalamat man ako sa andang suporta nga tuya paghiwaton. Nga iba niya ang pagka-football. Ay makita naton sa likod naton, may football field man kita dayan nga humandon, Ralph.
Mayor, na-mention mo nga may experiencehan nila ang hosting sang Pasig nga lain sa ibang. Ano ang manginginig subong sa hosting sang Pasig sa Webra?
Well, hindi ko dahil sa Mambal ko lang kung diyan doon sanda sa Pizza 17, pero antes ka Pizza 17, magasilibrar sanda, ibaw sa mga pasinons, kaaton nga Pintados, di Pasig, Festival Celebration 2026. Ito, isa kasi mana antes, igo-ugid sa aton nga Pintados Festival, diyan doon nga aton nga mga coaches, chaperons, athletes, kag mga ginikanan, kaaton nga mga athletes, Ralph.
Responsable at totoo. Life
Si
News.
Pasig City Mayor Stephen Palmares, mga kabyanan, sang aton sining nga ma-interview.
Life News.
Dali lang gid kay may ara pagid nga abduction kuno sa may Banwa sang Pavia. Daw mahinit sa bungang Pavia.
Life News.
Niya isa naman kuno ka babaye ang ginadakop dira sa may plaza sang Pavia.
Life News.
Kag ang mga nagdakop nagpakilala kuno nga pulis, mga kabyanan.
Life News.
Sino nga ara sa linya Abian Armidale? Sino nga ara? Dugay-dugay parang okay.
Life News.
Unahon tanay ning San Remigio Police Station kay going pa nga to sining patrol sa Kabian Mikay.
Life News.
Si Police Master Sergeant Mart Hill Cordero ang investigador sang San Remigio Police Station matapos nga ti may ara
Life News.
nga mga kawatan nga natiruhan didto matapos ang operation sang ato sining nga mga kapulisan. Sir, mayong gabi, live kita sa DYRP Live Radio Iloilo, sir, sa 1017 kHz sa mga radyo. Upod mo si Abian Ralph Mosqueda.
Good evening, sir, sa tanan natin para matika nga mga video.
Sir, i-confirm ko lang, sir, kay may mga report nga nakalabot diri sa amon nga may ara kuno kamo dira mga operation nga ginpatigayon angot sa ining mga kinawatay. Kag mindakpad kamong isa ka babaye tapos ang isa ka upod niya nagpalagyo siya kag allegedly natiruhan sa ato sining nga pulis kag niigo sa sir. Ano ka matuod ni sir?
Yes, sir. Positive na sir nga information, sir. Bali ang talk of the case na, sir. Bali at about 3:35 sang kaagahon sang February 21, 2026, ang personnel ng ating San Remigio Municipal Police Station received a report from Pusan citizen regarding accident transpired at the upper poblacion of this municipality.
Okay.
On arrival, yes sir, while securing the victim of the accident, waiting for the emergency medical services, our PNP personnel kakita ni kang duwa motorsiklo, isa ka black kag red Rusi motorcycle, kag isa ka blue nga motorcycle with this back rider, kag isa ka tricycle top down type, dead with one passenger carrying together with a goat. Thereafter, sir, so makita na diyang aton nga ang mga motor na ni kagang isa ka top down, yung lockdown ini sa aton responding bendit lang kay may aksidente nga tabo. Ang mga motorcycle sa tricycle suddenly bulpila sila nagliko. Nag-accelerate ang ilang salakyan motorcycle kag down, prompting sa ating PNP personnel na magduda sa andang actuation. Ginlaga sila, sir.
Okay.
Yung paglagas, ang black tag red ginabandon niya ni iyang motor pag nagdan siya pa sa nabukid nga bahay sa amo. At the same time, amo passenger sang top down. So niya manini, panaog niya ang kanding eh. Ang nag-continue sila sa apan sa pag-continue kung pursue sa aton nga entry personnel, pag barangay Nusuli, sa Banwa sa Pagmihio, sa nilo kapalagi, sir, ang ilang ginawang tricycle, nag-overshoot ini sa kalog sa pilit ng dalan. Nadakop na ton ang isa pang top down nga isa kababae nga alias Rick.
Okay.
Ang iya nga driver yun ni sir sa nabukid kag Makawi aton nga amo na wala man sa madakpan.
Bali nadakpan ang isa, sir.
Yes, sir.
Babae. Pila edad ya?
Ang babae.
Pila edad, sir, sa babae?
Bali ang babae, sir. Ito nga dinalege is minor siya. Pero sa aton nga pag-conduct investigation, tapos ilang ang identity sa nagsari-sari ng stasyon na atong isa, sir, nga legal na nga edad.
Okay.
Kaya pumuluy ang Haniway.
Taga Haniway siya?
Yes, sir.
Haniway, Iloilo?
Yes, sir. After pag-isa ng babae, sir, nag-continue pag-i ng personnel sa pag-look ito nga another blue cruising motorcycle na nakita nila iningan pundo sa pilit ng dalan. Kasi biligin na hulat nila ang ilang kagapan nga approaching naman natin nga responding 20%. Amo man sila iningan nagpadayon pagit ka nagpalagyo.
So bali kundi may ara nga nalagyo ning babae tapos nakapalagyo ang isa ka lalaki tapos pag follow up niya pagid may ato na nga nagahulat.
Bali pag sa pa lang, sir, sa upper bali duwa ni sila kamo up down mo. Amang sir pag chase blue motorcycle, sir, na overtake ito nga 20 personnel on board the motorcycle. Dahil nga nagpapanaog ini ang aton nga 20 ginringitan silang mapundo. Kailangan siya nga pulisya. Galing, napundo nagbunot sang iya nga nag-gintaya sa aton nga 20 personnel.
Okay.
Sa aton personnel nga mag-discharge ang arm to defend himself, sir.
May naigo sa mga kawatan?
Sir, bali naigo siya, sir. Tapos, nahulog niya arma, tapos padayon to ang iya motor with assistance ang iya nga.
Hello, sir?
Yes, sir?
Napalagyo siya, matapos na igo sang nagbalos ang aton pulis.
Sir.
Oo. Tapos,
yes, sir,
may nadakpan kita, wala?
Sa pagpapalagyo nila, sa gisunod sila na ato na 20 personnel, upon approaching nila ang Sibalom sa distrito sa Binit sa Suba, ginaba ilang motor, sir, pag nagpalagyo sila. But after sige na itong pag-coordinate yung pagkandang operation, nakabatong ang atong ang 10% ng sir, from Sibalom MPS, na sila sa informasyon sa isa sa ospital na may nagpabulong dito nga lalaki nga may pila. Kamo na nga ginkaduan naman na verify sa iyak community. Kasi na positively identified atong responding police officer na siya ito ang
Okay. Na-identify siya, taga diin man ni siya, sir?
Ang nadako to, sir, si alias J. Mark, sir. Iway man siya, sir.
Taga Haniway man. Subong?
Iway, sir, yes, sir.
Diin siya nga ospital, Subong?
Subong, sir, ay operation stable na condition na to, sir. Lasar Memorial na Hospital sa San Jose, sir.
Okay, ang babae, ara pa sa inyo sa San Remigio?
Dito pa sir ang babae sa San Remigio.
Okay, why pas la kapiyansa?
Pending for resolution pa sir sang napasakaan sila ginatang natasarin.
So kayo na pala sila gin-file. Anong na-recover na ton, sir?
Bali, yung mga sir sa ila, sir, isa ka brown bag, Containing isa ka knife, and then sir, isa ka 38 revolver containing 4 ammunition.
Okay.
At isa ka top-down motorcycle, 2 ka motor, sir.
Okay. So, bali may nakapalagyo pa nga duwa do muna?
Sir, nakapalagyo, sir.
Okay, sige. Sir, salamat gid sa impormasyon, sir, ha. Mayong gabi ka, God bless dira sa inyo, congratulations sa San Remigio Police Station, sir. Kabay pa nga makabati ning iban nga mga pulis na diri sa may probinsya sa Iloilo nga may ara dira nga tagahaniway nga nadakpan nga nagpangawat subong, sir, o nagligad nga 21. Hello, sir? Napatay? Sige. Balikan na lang sa Evan Army kag pasalamatan, pasudlan na lang aton sini nga dahig connection.
Has he shown any remorse? He promised, also, you will hear, to take responsibility, personal responsibility, for the killings, if need be. Well, that time has come. We are confident that if your honors confirm the charges in this case, that we will prevail and Mr. Duterte will be convicted at trial. We talk a little bit about what my friend, one of the things he said during his 30 minutes. In our presentation today, you will hear Mr. Duterte, in his own words, calling for killings, bragging about killings, and as I said, vowing to take responsibility for those killings, if necessary. And the defense, I have in my outline, may claim, but they already have, the defense claim that this is hyperbole, bluster, exaggeration, part of his blunt or direct strongman political speech, which had brought him political success in Davao and then nationwide. And the defense will also point your honors to many instances where Mr. Duterte and his allies tried to build a veneer, a kind of fig leaf of plausible deniability by sprinkling in references to the effect that the police should only shoot to kill in self-defense. Those references to self-defense appear throughout Mr. Duterte's speeches. They're all over the place. We don't run away from that. We don't shy away from that. That's part of our theory. So the defense will say, and again, they already have, that we've cherry-picked the statements we show you, but we have not. We acknowledge these many references to self-defense in Mr. Duterte's speeches. But the evidence which is in our pre-confirmation brief, and some of which will lead today, overwhelmingly shows that those references to self-defense and following the law and to due process are nothing but nonsense. Keep in mind, as mayor, he created a death squad. A leader who creates, leads, arms, and funds a death squad is not interested in due process or following the law. Those empty utterances were simply Mr. Duterte, who's chosen not to be here today. Those were simply him acting as the former prosecutor, trying to build in some semblance of a defense, preparing for the day, should it ever come, as it now has, that he would be held to account. It was to give his lawyers something to say. But look at it over here, where I said don't shoot except in self-defense. The reality is that Mr. Duterte's message was clear, and it was understood by the perpetrators, and it was followed. That message was, commit murder at my direction, and I will protect you, I will pay you, I will promote you. And that's what happened. And I'll say this as well, Your Honors. For purposes of this confirmation hearing, disregard every speech ever made by Mr. Duterte. Throw them all out. There is still ample evidence of substantial grounds based on the other evidence which we have put on our list of evidence. And the evidence as a whole, when you weigh it together, will show that what my friend said is not correct, that Mr. Duterte intended for his subordinates to follow the law, and that he was interested, and that his speeches were simply bluster. I'll talk briefly now about the charges in the case. As the deputy prosecutor stated, we have 49 incidents totaling 76 murder victims and 2 victims of attempted murder. And of course, those are expanded upon in our pretrial brief, or PCB. Now, as my friends said in the LRV, while there are countless victims who've experienced harm as a result of Mr. Duterte's crimes, we have focused the charges in this case to these 49 incidents and these number of victims in order to ensure that this trial can be expeditious and that it can be efficient and that it won't go on for years and years. So these charged murders are emblematic. They're representative of Mr. Duterte's larger killing campaign. I was going to talk about the legal standard for today, but Your Honors explained it extremely clearly in the beginning of the introduction, so I won't go into it, other than to say, of course, the standard we have to meet is substantial grounds, which I am confident we will. The only thing I would add is that this stage of the proceedings, in addition to not being a mini trial or a trial before a trial, it's also not the time for the chamber to in-depth determine the credibility of witnesses. That can only properly be addressed at trial by the trial chamber when the witnesses are called to testify before the judges and their evidence is properly tested. And there I would point, Your Honors, to the Said confirmation decision, 9 December 2021, at paragraph 39. I'll move on now. We can go to the next slide, James. I'll talk a little bit about Mr. Duterte's background. He was born on the 28th of March, 1945, and he prides himself, or portrays himself at least, as someone who understands the problems of the poor. But as my friend stated, he actually comes from a very privileged family. His father was a lawyer, a politician, even a provincial governor. And as a young man, Mr. Duterte became a lawyer. He went to law school, practiced as a prosecutor in Davao City for almost a decade, from 1977 to 1986. And you find that in our pre-confirmation brief at paragraph 2. While he was a prosecutor, excuse me, he taught criminal law and procedure to police officers in Davao City. And despite this privileged background, despite his deep familiarity with the law and criminal law, Mr. Duterte embraced criminality from the beginning of his career. It's just one example. As a prosecutor, the evidence shows he taught police officers to plant evidence. We can go to the next slide, please, James. I won't read the whole slide out, Your Honors. This is tab 57, PHL OTP 000-15506 R01. But this witness with direct knowledge stated, quote, "He's like planting of evidence. It is necessary," and the he is Duterte. He called it necessary evil. So they said that there are times in police work that you have to do the necessary evil for the sake of the common good, end quote. And I think you'll see, Your Honors, that that's a theme that runs through Mr. Duterte's career. He's willing to do whatever he considers the necessary evil, either for the common good or for his political advancement, or both. And Mr. Duterte confirmed years later, in 2024, when being questioned under oath during a hearing in the Philippines House of Representatives, that planting evidence was his strategy as mayor. Now, at first he denied it in this hearing, but then he admitted to planting evidence in this exchange. If we can go to the next slide. This is tab 46.1, Your Honors. Chairperson, quote, so you really did plant evidence. Mr. Duterte's answer, well, that was part of the strategy as a mayor and as a leader of the law enforcement agency in the city, end quote. His privilege, his legal background, makes this betrayal of the law and embrace of murder even more inexcusable. He knew, as a lawyer, as a former prosecutor, that his so-called crackdown on crime was a criminal attack on civilians of the Philippines. And overwhelmingly, the evidence shows, on poor civilians. The poorest of the poor were his victims. He knew his conduct, at its core, was criminal. And not only did Mr. Duterte clearly intend his criminality, he openly bragged about it. Right up until his arrest, and we'll get to that later, but right up until his arrest, he bragged about it. He thrives on a tough guy persona or image that he's tried to create for himself. My friend talked about him riding motorcycles. Well, one example I'll show you is from 2007 now, if we could play that, James. And I should say this is tab 18.
Elite, never losing an election.
So, riding a Harley Davidson, shooting a semi-automatic pistol. This is the image he's trying to create from the beginning. He likes to pose with weapons. If we can go to the next one, James. This is tab 80. And here in this photo, which was published in a newspaper, you can see Mr. Duterte holding an assault rifle. And I'll just note that we also see in this photo, to the immediate left of the photo, Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Bato is the nickname. And to Mr. Duterte's immediate right, Isidro La Peña. And we'll hear more about them later. Even days before he was arrested, 3 days before he was transferred to The Hague, this tough guy persona was on display again during a speech in Hong Kong. He brushed off the possibility of an ICC arrest warrant, and he referred to the ICC, quote, as motherfuckers who have been after him for a long time, end quote. This is him on March 9th, 2025. If you could play that, James. This is tab 136.
Sa totoo lang, baka ang balita ko may warrant daw ako pag... Hindi, totoo. Yung sa ICC or something. Matagal na akong hinahabol ng mga
That's him 3 days before coming to The Hague. Of course, after arriving in the Hague, his lawyers very soon began arguing that Mr. Duterte was not fit enough for these proceedings. He wasn't physically or mentally fit enough to be put on trial or for his charges to be confirmed. But fortunately, a panel of 3 medical experts that Your Honors appointed found unanimously that he is. The point is that despite what the defense may say, here or to the press, Mr. Duterte is perfectly fine. He's able to attend the proceedings today. There is nothing stopping him except that he doesn't want to be here. He chose not to face the court, not to face the victims. There is no reason for him not to be here other than his request and choice. I'll move on now briefly to his time as mayor in Davao, Your Honors. If we can quickly bring up the map, James. There we see Davao in the south. We can zoom in. I don't think there's any dispute where Davao is. He was first elected mayor of Davao City in 1988 and served as mayor for more than 20 years, between 88 and 2016. And as the deputy prosecutor has noted, jurisdiction for this case is 1st November 2011 to 16 March 2019. We're limited to that jurisdiction. So that is the period we will concentrate on today, although of course before and after may be relevant. As mayor of Davao, Mr. Duterte promised a crackdown on crime. To quote, crackdown, end quote, on crime and drugs, Mr. Duterte created liquidation squads, death squads, made up both of Davao City police officers as well as non-police officers who were essentially hired hitmen, hired killers. And this system of his became known as the Davao model. The Davao model was murder, not being tough on crime legally, as my friend said. And you have to think, it's a little strange cracking down on crime by committing the crime of murder. Of course, Mr. Duterte did not commit these crimes alone. We discussed the co-perpetrators, including during the mayoral period, in our pre-confirmation brief, Your Honors. And you'll find that at paragraphs 8 to 23. I'll talk about just a few of them now, just to introduce them. First, if we go to the slide, thank you. Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who was a chief of the Davao City Police Office, or DCPO, from 2012 to 2013. Next, Vicente Danao, another police chief in Davao during the period. Next, Christopher Bong Go, who was Mr. Duterte's aide, special assistant, and important advisor from 1998 to 2016 for the Davao period, and then continued later in the presidency. Mr. Dante Giran, regional director of the National Bureau of Investigation. And finally, Italiano Aguirre, who is a lawyer for Mr. Duterte and for some of the DDS members during the mayoral period. And Ms. Croft will discuss these co-perpetrators and their roles in more depth in her presentation, which will be tomorrow. Let me talk now a little bit about the structure of the Davao Death Squad, or DDS. And as we say in our brief, it's a pyramidal structure. If we go, James, to the next one. Again, this colloquially became known as the Davao Death Squad, and it had a hierarchical pyramid-like structure. At the very top, as mayor, Rodrigo Duterte. And as mayor, he had, of course, de jure control over the Davao police. And the evidence shows, para 34, we talk about this in our brief, he also had de facto control. Under him were co-perpetrators, some of whom I have mentioned. The co-perpetrators had different roles, but one of them was to relay orders and instructions down from Mr. Duterte to the DDS handlers, and also to relay reports back up to Mr. Duterte. So a typical chain of command. The instructions go down, the reports go up. And the handlers were responsible for the different death squads or DDS members. And at the very bottom, the lowest rung, the DDS members who actually perpetrated the killings, who carried out physically the murders. And they were made up of both police officers, who were generally lower level police officers, as well as non-police persons who were hired. These members at the bottom were often recruited because they had a debt or owed something to Mr. Duterte or the police, and they could therefore be controlled. And those members at the very bottom were at risk themselves, because if they did not follow orders, or if they tried to leave the DDS, they could be tortured or killed or both. And there is evidence of that in this case. I'll talk now just for a few moments about the founding of the DDS, Duterte's death squad, the genesis of the death squads. One witness described his initiation into the DDS. He described it happening in 1988 at a dinner meeting in a hotel in Davao City. And this was a huge deal for this witness. I mean, it was almost unimaginable being invited to a dinner in a hotel in the center of Davao where he was going to meet the mayor. Mr. Duterte was present, and he openly told the new members of the death squad he was forming that their job was to kill criminals. If we can go to the next slide, James. This is tab 50, Your Honors. This is what the witness recalls of the meeting. Quote, he, Duterte, told us that your job here in the city would be to kill the drug pushers, the snatchers, and the holduppers. That's what our job is going to be, end quote. And in private, with his paid killers, Mr. Duterte didn't say anything about self-defense. He then provided these death squad members with guns and ammunition, and again, in a festive way, a basket was passed around filled with handguns, and the new members could pull one out, like getting a prize, so they would each have a weapon for their new job. It was a celebratory event for Mr. Duterte. The witness explained Mr. Duterte was happy at this dinner meeting. He was laughing, and he even sprayed a bottle of champagne to celebrate. That's at para 5 for our PCB. One witness recalls, we can go to the next slide, James, thank you, recalled of this event, quote, he, Duterte again, said it was like a baptismal, like a launching. He was very happy at that moment, end quote. That's tab 51. Mr. Duterte was very happy at the birth of the DDS. It's important to note, Your Honors, Mr. Duterte has freely admitted his role in the Davao Death Squad. He doesn't deny it. Well, now he does. But He did not before he came here. During an interview with a local news station in 2015, he admitted that he is the Davao Death Squad. And if we could play that now, please, James. This is tab
Ako daw ang Death
11.
Squad.
So how do you react to that?
Tunod. Tunod na.
They say I'm the death squad. True. That's true. You know, Your Honors, in some ways, this case is not exactly complicated. That's not the only time Mr. Duterte admitted his role with the death squad. He repeated under oath that he had a death squad at the Blue Ribbon Committee in the Philippine Senate in 2024, about 10 years after the clip we just saw. However, in this exchange, he denied that the death squad included police officers in some type of apparent effort to protect them. This is tab 41.1, if you could bring it up, please. Mr. Duterte, under oath, quote, "I can make the confession now if you want. I really took care of it. But please don't involve the police. They're the ones who suffer, sir. I have a death squad, but not the police. These were gangsters." He says it again. In the same hearing, he confirms this admission. Go to the next one, please. Tab 41.1. The senator asks, quote, "So what the former president dropped earlier, that they have a death squad, was a bombshell. Whatever name it goes by, whether police or non-police. Because it looks like what we are investigating now is the instrument used for the war on drugs, which led to numerous extrajudicial killings. For the record, Mr. Chair." End quote. Mr. Duterte's response, quote, "You are correct, ma'am. You are absolutely right." End quote. It's not on a slide, but he also stated bluntly, same tab, 41.1, same hearing, quote, "My death squad, ma'am, is, of course, it is organized. That's all I can say," end quote. So that is 4 times, 3 of them under oath, that he admitted having a death squad in Davao, including saying he is the death squad. That's not hyperbole. That's not bluster. That's him telling the truth when he feels safe, and that he can bank on his continued impunity. Talk just for a few moments now, Your Honors, about how the Davao Death Squad operated under its architect, Mr. Duterte. Victims were usually targeted in one of 2 ways. Sometimes an informant would provide information on a target, and the handler would then get clearance from Mr. Duterte through one of the co-perpetrators in the pyramid we saw earlier to kill the target. Sometimes Mr. Duterte himself would give the target's name, would say who to kill, which would be communicated by one of the co-perpetrators to a handler, and then down to the DDS member tasked with actually carrying out the killing. But whichever way it took place, Mr. Duterte's clearance, his approval was required, his permission was required for DDS members to conduct these murders. And several witnesses confirmed that, and I'll go through them in a minute. But first, Your Honor, just to react to something my friend said in the previous session. This was at I think 12:22 onwards on the transcript. He stated to the effect the prosecution couldn't even get one witness to admit they heard Rodrigo Duterte give an order to kill. Here's where it gets a little bit cute. At any time relevant to the charges or with respect to any of the incidents. So my friend didn't say the prosecution doesn't have any witness who heard Mr. Duterte give an order to kill. He's saying during this time period. I'd point your honors and my friend to PHL OTP 000 15517 at page 0002, lines 18 to 21, where a witness is asked, now did you ever hear Sarah, this is Sarah Duterte, give any instructions for killings to take place? Witness, personally no. Interviewer, okay. Witness, but the father, of course, many times. But this was before 2011. I would suggest that doesn't make much difference. Going back to the confirmations of his clearance, if we could go to next slide. Yes. This is tab 35, Your Honors. A witness stated, quote, only one person was making the decisions. You had to ask Duterte. Because if we didn't make that request, if we didn't ask for authorization, we would be chased or we would be pursued, end quote. Another witness stated, if we go to the next one, please, tab 58, quote, we cannot conduct a clearing or killing operations without his clearance. Speaking of Mr. Duterte, we called it clearance, end quote. Finally, on the next slide, perhaps the simplest, the witness recalled, quote, a different witness recalled, quote, you cannot just kill anyone in Davao City without Duterte's approval. Otherwise, you will be charged, end quote. It's tab 117. In exchange for carrying out the murders as directed, the DDS members would be paid reward money. One witness stated, if we go to the next one, please, James, he recalled, this is tab 56, quote, every kill, the first reward money, to my recall, it was $10,000 per kill, end quote. And in addition to paying rewards for specific murders to the person who carried out the murder, Mr. Duterte also paid some of the DDS hitmen who were not police officers salaries by making them false employees of City Hall that he ran as mayor. These were so-called ghost employees. They got ID, they received salaries from the city of Davao, they were put on the books, but it was all a ruse because their only job was to kill. So it was Mr. Duterte using the city government and the apparatus to fund his death squad. He also, I'll just note quickly, provided death squad members with firearms, as I talked about earlier at the beginning of the DDS, but also with vehicles and ammunition so that they could carry out their crimes. We'll go to count one now, and I'll talk just a little bit about count one. And Mr. Jeremy will talk about counts 2 and 3 tomorrow. Count one is in relation to murders in and around Davao City during the mayoral period by the DDS. It encompasses 9 incidents of murder by Mr. Duterte's death squad of 19 victims in total. 3 of those 19 victims were children. I'll go to just one quick example. Incident 3 in our pre-confirmation brief, murders in Agdao Market. I'm just going to go through one of them. Your Honors, this is at paragraphs 91 to 92 of our pre-confirmation brief and page 36 of the notebook we passed around this morning. Incident 3 is about the murders, or what happened in Incident 3 is the murder of 3 people in that market on or about 4 December 2013. Before carrying out the murders, 3 DDS members who we'll see received instructions from their handler that there was a job to be done. And the victims in this crime were 3 alleged thieves. So we have 3 hitmen and 3 victims. The informant helped the DDS hitmen to locate the targets, the victims, who were at a shop in Agdao Market that day. And when the hitmen reached the shop, each one shot and killed one of the targets and murdered them in broad daylight. After the killing, the hitmen reported back to their handler up the pyramid chain that the job was done. And their handler, in this case, then informed Sonny Buenaventura, who at that time was one of Mr. Duterte's most trusted men. The reward for this incident, for these 3 murders, was 90,000 pesos total. That's at our brief at para 91. Now, what's interesting about this incident is that a few weeks later, after the murders, a video of Mr. Duterte watching the crime on CCTV was posted to YouTube. And I'll show that video, Your Honors, in a minute. But in the video, you'll see Mr. Duterte standing in the CCTV room looking at a bank of television screens. The video then zooms in on the CCTV footage of the crime, and you see 3 DDS members walking up the street in the market. You see them turn to the right, pull out their guns, their pistols, shoot the 3 victims who are off the screen, and then they walk and jog away, and they don't look very worried. And the video then zooms out, and you see different people running to see what has happened because they've heard the shots. Okay, can we play that, please?
Sa Makati, ganito din.
At most warning sa gagawin. Katong patay sa Agdao. Eh, tanawin mo yun. Tanawin na doon kalakaw. Kanawa. Fiskal, pati pambot kasi mo. Pero magiging klaro. Tanawa. Kaya, bubada. May pagkita ni Esar Rosales. Kawan na. Sabihin na liyanay mo. Kaya. Tutulog. Ano ba? Tanong mo lang sa mga tao.
And you have to wonder if what my friend said is true, that Mr. Duterte is an honest mayor trying to solve crime. You have to wonder, Mr. Duterte portrayed himself as tough on crime, law and order enforcer. This triple murder was filmed. Mayor Duterte watched it himself. You can see the perpetrators committing the crime. Yet, Mr. Duterte, the former prosecutor, Mr. Tough on Crime, could not get this triple murder committed in a market in broad daylight with multiple eyewitnesses solved? Of course not, because it was his murder. And that brings me to the next point, which is clear. DDS members did not fear punishment because they were committed at Mr. Duterte's orders or direction. He authorized this Incident 3 killing and the others in Davao City. That's at our PCB, our brief, 71 to 72. And that's why, of course, the death squad members were not being arrested, worried about being arrested for the murders they carried out. And if we go to the next slide, James, one of them says very simply, quote, when asked if he's worried about being prosecuted for the killings he committed, his answer was, quote, no. As long as it has been cleared, I wouldn't worry. End quote. Tab 30. And it's highly understandable that the DDS members were not worried about being prosecuted for the murders they committed, because Mayor Duterte took pride in these killings. He was interviewed as mayor in late 2015, and a reporter put a question to him, asked him about a human rights group report which suggested that he had killed 700 people in Davao. I'll play the video and we'll see his response. You'll also see, just before we play that, Mr. Christopher Bongo is in this video to Mr. Duterte's right. Look at the question, look at Mr. Duterte's answer.
700 daw, pinatay ko. Nagkulang ho sila sa kwenta. Medyo mga 1,700.
No denial. Instead, he takes credit for 1,000 more killings. That isn't bluster. That's not hyperbole. That's the truth. I'll move on now, Your Honors, coming to the end, and talk a little bit about his road to the presidency. He saw that the political success of his Davao model, as my friend said, he kept getting reelected. It was working. He saw that the political success of the Davao model of killing alleged criminals could be leveraged for more power, higher office. As I said in the beginning, that's exactly what he did. During his presidential campaign, he campaigned on a promise, a pledge to implement the common plan to kill alleged criminals nationwide if elected. I'm going to play a video now, Your Honors, that are just some of the speeches he made. It's a compilation of four. This is a tab 12 of 4 videos. It's about 4 minutes, but it gives an idea. These are not all the statements, but it gives an idea of the man who ran for president in 2016. If we can play that, James.
3 to 6 months, sabi ko, I will eradicate corruption, criminality, and drugs. If I become the president, I will order the military and the police to hunt down the drug lords, the big ones, and kill them. Tell me what my credentials to the presidency? Then I'd say, Davao is Exhibit A. Ngayon, dito sa Davao, hindi sabihin ito malinis itong bayan na to. It's not perfect. So that maybe I said, kung dating ako doon sa Pasig, I can promise you, not heaven, but I will promise you a comfortable life. Corruption has to stop. Criminality has to stop. Either makuha ko ang gusto ko or you perish. Magprangkahan na lang tayo. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Patayan yan.
I promise you, hindi naman believe yung ibang tao. Sabi ko, I would stop drugs and crime, criminality in 3 to 6 months. That's too ambitious. My God, subukan ninyo ako. That's what I told the Davao criminals before. Pinapatawag ko pa, do you want to go out of the city? Gusto mong pumunta ng Manila, maganda ang buhay doon. Doon ka na lang, gusto mo? Di yun hindi naniwala. Di patay. Anong pag-usapan natin dyan? Bakit para sa akin? Did I do it for my own? For my own benefit? To enrich myself? What does the life of a criminal got to do with your pocket? No. Nabi ko lang, I want a peaceful city. Umalis kayo. Pag hindi, papatayin ko talaga kayo. Di pinatay ko. Huwag na tayo magtagot pa. Papangkaprang ka na lang. Ngayon ako, I have this. Kung ako ang presidente, huwag muna kayo mag-demonstrate. Give me time. Give me time kasi mag-hearit talaga ako. At sa kung gusto naman siya, hindi ka talagang gagawin ko. Hihirit ako. Ang sabi ko sa military pati police, only criminals, drug-related offenses. I will tell the police and the military, go out and kill them. Period. Alam naman nila.
Alam mo ito, pag ako ang na-presidente, I would warn you, I do not covet the position. Pag na-presidente ako, magtago na kayo. Yung 1,000 nan, it would reach 50,000. I would kill all you making the life of the Filipino miserable. Patayin ko talaga kayo. Kasi manalo ako dahil nga yung breakdown sa law and order. I do not want to commit a crime. But if by chance, per chance, God would place me there, magbantay kayo, kasi itong 1,000 na ito maging 100,000. Diyan mo makita, tataba yung isda dyan sa Manila Bay. Diyan ko kayo itapon. I do not want to be president. I do not want to kill people. So do not elect me as president.
If I become the president, I will order the military and
3 to 6 months.
Oops. Sorry. So, if I become the president, I will order the military and the police to hunt down the drug lords, the big ones, and kill them. Tell me, what is my credentials to the presidency? Then I'll say, Davao is Exhibit A. Either I get what I want or you perish. Let's be straightforward. What does that mean? That means killings. You should get out. If not, I will really kill you. So I killed them. Let's not play hide and seek anymore. Let's just be frank. I will tell the police and the military, go out and kill them, period. I will really kill you. I do not want to kill people, so do not elect me as president. That's the man before you for this hearing, even if he's not in court today. He repeatedly promised to kill people, his own people, if elected president. He said it, he did it, that's who he is. He won the election, became president on 30 June 2016, and did exactly as he said he would. He murdered thousands of people by taking the Davao model nationwide. I'm finished, Your Honor, and perhaps I would suggest that the next presentation start tomorrow, if you don't mind, because we only have 5 minutes.
Judge Motok, thank you, Mr. Prosecutor, for your presentation and your suggestion. We have now come to the end of this first day of hearings. I would like to thank all the parties and participants, as well as our interpreters, the registry, and the technical staff, as well as all those who contributed towards the success of this hearing. The hearing is adjourned, and we will resume tomorrow according to our schedule. See you tomorrow.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo. Life News.
So mga kabyanan, na mo yadto ang ikaduhang hugnat sang presentation sang sining confirmation against sa confirmation of charges sa hearing ni Fprrd dira sa may Dahig, Netherlands sa mga kabyanan. Sige presenta dito ang gamay lang recap ang mga gipanghambal ni Tatay Diggs nga ginahambal sang taga prosecution ati kalabanan nga ginhambal ni Tatay Diggs is daw may mga kamatuoran mga kabyanan. Kami pala to mga videos ang ipakita, mga slides nga gin-present with regard sa mga mando ni former President Rodrigo Duterte nga nagatudlo sa pagpatay sa mga biktima mga kabyanan.
Serbisyong makataw, responsable at totoo.
Gari nga lang ng tiyempo nato, alas 10:27 na. Magpamati ka mo sa Santo Rosario o ka mo magtulog sa sining mga tulog. Sa pangalan sa nga niya technical partner Dere Abian Army Del Sur, si Mark Lloyd Coor. Transmitter si First Class Radio Telephone Operator Ricardo Peña. Sa Patrol Abian Mikay kag Abian James Cooper. Sa Newsroom si Abian Mary Rose Femi. Ako naman si Abian Ralph Dili Mosqueda. Nagabilin sang mensahe, smile while your teeth are complete. Kag syempre, good night everyone. Para sa balita na may integridad at prinsipyo. Live Radio.
Your reactions, comments, greetings, and suggestions. Mag-text sa Live Radio Iloilo text line 0962-935-9938.
Life Extension Vitamin D3. Kagsubong aton pamatian si Ma'am Editha Delamide.
Kamusta na imo ma'am subong medical condition?
Sa kaluoy kag Ginoo, nag-okay